Chapter 1378. Your Majesty. Although Old Sycamore's group of 6 was fighting against powerful enemies, they were constantly paying attention to Tanshio. As they unleashed their most terrifying attacks, they desperately pushed back the powerful enemies in front of them and pounced on Tanshio and Zhu Wusho one after another. Very loyal. Shade Demon Zhu Wusho's eyes burst with a cold light. He instantly unleashed his most terrifying divine ability, Twilight Nightmare, and instantly enveloped the 7 of them. Break. Kill. Madness flowed in the eyes of the 6 of them. They seemed to be prepared to fight with their lives as they fiercely attacked Shade Demon Zhu Wusho. Boom! The planet closest to them exploded in the vast starry sky. However, the force of the explosion did not affect the group too much. However, Shade Demon Zhu Wusho's strongest attack was broken by the combined attacks of the 6 of them. Kill them! Shade Demon Zhu Wusho roared angrily. The 6 Supremes he'd brought with him immediately pounced on Old Sycamore's group of 6. The fierce battle shook the surrounding starry sky, and the movement caused the surrounding planets to explode one after another. During the battle, the surrounding space constantly formed black holes due to the attacks of the Supremes and the shockwaves from the explosions of the planets. For a whole 5 days, be it Tanshio or Old Sycamore's group of 6 Supremes, all of them were gravely injured. On the enemy's side, Shade Demon Zhu Wusho had only suffered light injuries, and Supremacy Ice Snow's injuries weren't heavy either. However, the other 5 Supremes Zhu Wusho had brought with him were also gravely injured. Twilight Nightmare, Spatial Explosion. Shade Demon Zhu Wusho looked at Tanshio, who had been sent flying, and a cold, killing intent appeared at the corner of his mouth. As he spoke in a chilling voice, he immediately unleashed his most powerful attack. A pained expression appeared in Tanshio's eyes. His strength was more than 10 times weaker than before, and the gap between him and Shade Demon Zhu Wusho was simply too great. He was only able to endure for 5 days because Old Sycamore's group of 6 had risked their lives to protect him, as well as the Star Devourer insect inside his body that had grown to the Supremacy realm. Otherwise, he had died at the hands of Shade Demon Zhu Wusho 4 or 5 days ago. Shade Demon Zhu Wusho laughed maniacally as he looked at Tanshio, who had been sent flying. He had taken advantage of my opportunity to teleport and instantly appeared in front of Tanshio. As the long saber fiercely chopped down on Tanshio's head, it was as if he could already see the scene of Tanshio being chopped in half. Twilight Nightmare. A bone-chilling voice rang out from behind Shade Demon Zhu Wusho. A terrifying burst of energy followed, and a demonic artifact instantly pierced through the defenseless Shade Demon Zhu Wusho's body. Get lost. Shade Demon Zhu Wusho's face paled. When the saber light was still quite a distance away from Tanshio's head, he changed direction and ruthlessly swept behind him. At the same time, he once again condensed the Twilight Nightmare's divine ability and ruthlessly bombarded the figure behind him. The figure, who was dressed almost the same as Shade Demon Zhu Wusho, was viciously struck in the chest. As her figure flew backwards, Shade Demon Zhu Wusho instantly retreated tens of thousands of meters, clutching his chest as he spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. Tanshio's gaze fell on the figure that had been sent flying by Shade Demon Zhu Wusho. He couldn't see the other's face clearly, but that cold voice just now made it clear who it was. A crazed look appeared in Tanshio's eyes as he roared angrily. The figure paused slightly and looked deeply at Tanshio. Then, without saying a word, she once again pounced towards Shade Demon Zhu Wusho. Streaks of demonic fire appeared out of nowhere, and clouds of black fog surged wildly. In the blink of an eye, Shade Demon Zhu Wusho and herself were enveloped within it. Damn it, who are you? Why do you have my Twilight Nightmare? You bastard, you actually want to self-destruct your immortal soul. Amidst the surging black fog, a figure flew backwards like a kite with its string cut. As she spat out a mouthful of blood, her right arm had been chopped off, and there was a hole in her chest. There was also a glittering soul seal on her broken body. Whoosh! Tanshio felt as if his heart had been torn apart by a knife. 2 streams of tears flowed down his face as he instantly appeared behind the figure and held her in his arms. Cough, cough. Her mask was already broken, and her black robe was in tatters. Xue Qingqing coughed up a few mouthfuls of blood. Her face was clearly filled with pain, but a poignant smile appeared on her face. "Are you stupid?" Tan Xiu hugged Xue Qingqing, and the chaotic energy in his hands surged wildly into her body. He could clearly feel that Han Qingwu's life force was rapidly draining away. At this rate, it would only take a few hours for Han Qingwu to completely die. I am stupid. Tears flowed out of Xue Qingqing's eyes, but her smile was more brilliant. She raised her blood-stained hands with difficulty and gently stroked Tan Xiu's face, softly saying, "I'm indebted to him, and all my relatives are in his hands. No, cough, cough, if I don't do anything to you, all my relatives will die. I can't repay the kindness I owe him. Xiu, the person I, Xue Qingqing, owe the most in this life is you. Even if you don't want to see me again, my life is still yours. If you want to live a peaceful life, I'll hide far away. I just want to watch you silently, and I'll be very happy. If you want to kill someone, I'll be your knife. Whoever you point at, cuff, I'll kill. Do you know? Ever since that day, this is the happiest moment I've ever been. Please, break the soul seal on my body. Xiu, this is the first time I'm begging you. So, go!" The tears in Tan Xiu's eyes were like a broken dam. The heart-wrenching pain made him want to go crazy. At this moment, he finally understood that the reason why Xue Qingqing wanted to kill him at that time was not because she didn't love him, but because her love was engraved in her bones and heart. It was because the pain she suffered was much more than him. "She died. After she attacked me, she was already dead," Yi Zichen said. "She is Xue Qingqing and also Han Qingwu. She loves me and has always loved me. And I, who wanted to kill her, always hated her." He still persisted and endured. Tan Xiu's heart was filled with waves of remorse. He had always stood in his own point of view, but he had never thought about the bitterness in Xue Qingqing's heart. "Go!" A sharp roar came from Tan Xiu's bosom. A terrifying force directly pushed Tan Xiu thousands of kilometers away. In the next moment, Xue Qingqing appeared near the eagle. After taking a fierce blow from Supreme Ice Snow on his back, she shouted, "Help me break the soul seal." Roar! In the distance, old Sycamore, who was seriously injured and clearly couldn't hold on for much longer, suddenly let out a beast-like roar. Almost in an instant, a surging sound wave came from his mouth. "Your Majesty, this old sycamore will never forget your great kindness. At this time, this old sycamore will repay you." Boom! The terrifying explosion was 100 times more powerful than the explosion of a planet. With old sycamore at the center, a terrifying wave of energy spread in all directions at an extremely fast speed. Supreme Ice Snow, who was the closest to old sycamore, was riddled with holes. Only his immortal soul escaped in panic and quickly fled into the distance. Old sycamore. Tan Xiu's body trembled violently as pain spread throughout his entire body. At this moment, all the planets in the universe within his body erupted with intense light, and Tan Xiu's entire body was shrouded in a terrifying light. His aura instantly soared by several times. His figure moved like lightning and pounced in the direction of Xue Qingqing and Eagle. "Don't break the soul seal," Tan Xiu shouted in a stern voice. Eagle laughed bitterly and bombarded Xue Qingqing's left shoulder with immortal energy, sending her flying thousands of kilometers away. Only then did he roar, "Your Majesty, Eagle should have died in the Nifa's abyss 1,000 years ago. You saved my wife and gave me a child. I beg you, please take care of them in the future." In an instant, Eagle rushed in the direction of Apotheon Myriad Notes. In almost an instant, his fist bombarded Apotheon Myriad Notes' chest, sending him flying and exploding. The two Supremes who had besieged him and Apotheon Myriad Notes were both mid-stage Supremes, and they were also seriously injured. As their expressions changed, they were instantly killed by Eagle's immortal soul explosion. Even their immortal souls couldn't escape from Eagle's immortal soul explosion. "Eagle!" After Tan Xiu grabbed Xue Qingqing again, the despair in his eyes drove him completely mad. His eyes turned blood red, and his body began to swell violently. His muscles exploded, his bones shattered, and his meridians ruptured. In just a few breaths, his body had grown to about 10 meters tall. Terrifying primal chaos energy nourished his muscles, healed his bones, and repaired his meridians. At this moment, he was like a demon god. After the divine sword returned to his hand, he instantly appeared in front of Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, whose expression had changed greatly. "Damn it, I'm the demon here!" Shade Demon Zhu Wushou roared angrily. Although he was seriously injured by Xue Qingqing's sneak attack, he was still confident that he could kill Tan Xiu. As the space collapsed, energy constantly formed in front of Tan Xiu. The long saber suddenly exploded, turning into a 10,000-meter-long saber light that constantly cut toward Tan Xiu's body. Kill! Tan Xiu didn't seem to notice the danger. The divine sword shattered the space and blasted away the saber light. At this moment, his strength was no less than when he was at his strongest. He controlled the divine sword and stabbed it into Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's heart. Divine power, heavenly net. Tan Xiu spat out a mouthful of blood. Suddenly, the blood-red light spread along the countless colorful lines that appeared out of thin air. In the blink of an eye, it had completely enveloped the space within a radius of 1,000 miles. The world. It seemed to have frozen. The beautiful brilliance made this world look like a dream, breathtakingly beautiful. More than a dozen Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were cut into pieces. Their blood seemed to add more than a dozen beautiful red flowers to this world. It was very painful for Quiet Night to write this chapter. She repeatedly changed it, because it involved the conflicting feelings between Tan Xiu and Xue Qingqing. If the brothers and sisters couldn't understand the feelings between the two of them, they could go to the special article written for Xue Qingqing on Quiet Night's official WeChat account. Combined with that article, everyone would be able to fully understand the tragic character Xue Qingqing. In addition, Quiet Night has attached a beautiful picture of a stunning princess to everyone today. Again, the brothers and sisters who are healthy and strong can pay attention to Quiet Night's official WeChat account. If you are weak, forget about it. Quiet Night's official WeChat account is JYJS00, or directly search for Quiet Night's thoughts on the official WeChat account. Chapter 1379. How is this possible? Shade Demon Zhu Wushou sent Tan Xiu retreating with a punch, his eyes gleaming with disbelief. Victory was originally in his grasp, but the result turned out to be so miserable. Not only did 3 of the 6 Supremes he brought with him perish, but even he himself was likely to die here. Fight! Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's eyes gleamed with a cold light. His immortal soul instantly rushed out of his body and appeared thousands of miles away in the blink of an eye. Even the layers of colorful lines in all directions couldn't block his way. Explode! As Shade Demon Zhu Wushou went far away, his body exploded with a loud roar. Although the power of the explosion was not as great as the immortal soul's self-detonation, it still blasted Tan Xiu away in an instant. Puff! Tan Xiu's body was like a kite with a broken string as he flew upside down toward the distance. At this moment, Xue Qingqing's figure instantly appeared behind Tan Xiu and held him in her arms. She looked at Tan Xiu's damaged body and tears flowed down her cheeks. "Master! Your Majesty!" Apotheon Myriad Notes and the other 3 Supremes were greatly alarmed. They could no longer fight with the other 3 Supremes who no longer had the will to fight and instantly dashed to the side of Tan Xiu and Xue Qingqing. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul fled, the other 3 Supremes also fled, and the remaining dozens of perfected golden immortals fled far away, riddled with scars. In the turbulent void, Xue Qingqing coughed up a mouthful of blood. She carefully handed Tan Xiu over to Apotheon Myriad Notes and said, "Take care of him." After saying that, she covered her nearly pierced chest and flashed away into the distance. "Stop her." Tan Xiu shook his dizzy head and immediately said to Apotheon Myriad Notes after realizing that Xue Qingqing was about to leave. Apotheon Myriad Notes hesitated and bitterly said, "She may have saved you, Master, but she once—" Tan Xiu interrupted him and said in a deep voice, "She did do something wrong in the past, but how could the pain she suffered be less than mine? One lie, I've already thought it through. She risked her life to save me today, and in order to let me live, she was willing to detonate her immortal soul. Just based on this, she is still your master's wife. Stop her, or she won't live for more than an hour. Apotheon Myriad Note's expression changed and he instantly chased after Xue Qingqing. After a quarter of an hour, he dashed to the front of Xue Qingqing and blocked her path, saying, "Master's wife, Master asked me to stop you." "Madam?" Xue Qingqing's tears gushed out again as she murmured, "Is he still willing to see me? Master just said that you risked your life to save him, and you were willing to detonate your immortal soul to keep him safe. It shows that you really love him," said Apotheon Myriad Notes. "Also, Master suddenly understood what you did. I'm afraid that the pain you suffered will be more intense than his." Cough, cough. Did he really say that? He doesn't hate me anymore? Xue Qingqing's pale face was flushed red. However, her life force was being drained even faster due to her agitated emotions. Even when he was standing in midair, he felt a little unsteady. "Master's wife, Master really doesn't hate you anymore," said Apotheon Myriad Notes seriously. "Please go back with me quickly. Master's injury is very serious, and he needs you to stay by his side." What? Xue Qingqing was shocked and immediately dashed toward Tan Xiu's direction. Due to forcibly increasing her speed, she coughed up 2 mouthfuls of blood again. "Xiu," his voice was full of concern and a bit trembling. After Xue Qingqing threw herself in front of Tan Xiu, her tears flowed faster. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and reached out to hug Xue Qingqing. Then, he murmured, "Just let the past drift away with the wind. You're still Tan Xiu's wife, and you'll always be." A happy light burst from Xue Qingqing's eyes. Ever since she recovered her memory, she had been dreaming of hearing Tan Xiu's words. Now that her dream had come true, she would be satisfied even if she had to die now. Tan Xiu took a deep breath. He suddenly cupped Xue Qingqing's face and asked, "You've gone through a new reincarnation and have a new identity. You're no longer called Xue Qingqing, but Han Qingwu. Do you believe me?" Xue Qingqing, "No, it should be Han Qingwu." She took a deep breath and seriously said, "I believe you more than I believe myself." "Your injuries are very serious," said Tan Xiu. "Even if I have a lot of healing pills and heavenly treasures, I can't save your life. That's why I need to send you to a place. I don't know if you can survive after entering that place, but at least there's a glimmer of hope. I'll listen to you and go wherever you tell me to go." Han Qingwu nodded heavily. "I won't hesitate even if you want me to die now." Tan Xiu took a deep breath and slowly raised his head. As he fully circulated the 4th layer of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, his spiritual sense instantly integrated into the universe in his dantian. As he cast his secret technique, primal chaos force instantly wrapped Han Qingwu and pulled her into the black vortex that appeared out of nowhere in his chest. This was the first time he tried to absorb someone from the outside world into his dantian universe. He had once absorbed another life form, which was the Heavenly Path Universe tree. But this time, it was a living person. He needed to use the huge vitality of the Heavenly Path Universe tree to protect Han Qingwu's soul and reignite her life force. After a while, along with a dizzying feeling, Han Qingwu found herself in a brand new world. This world was very different. There were planets in all directions, and all of these planets had the aura of life. She simply couldn't believe it. That tree. Han Qingwu's body trembled. She faintly felt that the tree was full of beautiful colors, so fresh and full of vitality. She could even clearly see a trace of light green aura drifting out from the tree and flowing to her side. As she absorbed the spiritual energy of the world, that trace of light green aura was also absorbed into her body. Therefore, she could clearly feel that the flow of her life force gradually slowed down, while that trace of light green aura was increasing her vitality. "I didn't expect that this dantian universe can really accommodate life. Qingwu, how do you feel now?" A phantom appeared in front of Han Qingwu out of thin air. Han Qingwu looked at the dreamlike and somewhat unreal Tan Xiu. An excited look appeared on her face as she said, "The life aura drifting out from that tree can make up for my lost vitality. If I stay here I can live." "Xiu, what is this place?" Tan Xiu said, "Inside my dantian. It's the dantian universe I opened in my dantian." Han Qingwu said incredulously, You can actually open such a world in your Dantian? That's incredible. Tan Xiao said with a faint smile. Since this place can preserve your life, go to the Heavenly Path Universe tree to heal. If you have time, you can contact me with your divine sense at any time. I will feel it. Han Qingwu knew that her injuries were too serious, so she agreed and flew toward the Heavenly Path Universe tree. Tan Xiao retracted his divine sense and coughed up a mouthful of blood again. His injuries were very serious, very serious. After settling the drought, he glanced around with his ice-cold eyes. A huge amount of primal chaos energy surged in all directions, covering the area of hundreds of thousands of kilometers in just a few seconds. Soul condensation, soul condensation. The ice-cold words came out of Tan Xiao's mouth. In nearly the blink of an eye, 7 colored specks of starlight appeared in the area of hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Tang Xiao couldn't distinguish which of the stars were the eagle's soul energy and which were old sycamore's soul energy. Therefore, he condensed all 5 kinds of light specks and formed 5 balls of 7-colored light before absorbing them into his body. They were sealed in his left hand. He firmly believed that he would find a way to bring old sycamore and eagle back to life sooner or later. Let's go. Tan Xiao took a deep breath and swallowed a purple scent pill and 2 drops of god blood. Then he hurried toward the Great Tang Empire's army while healing his injuries. Half a day later, he saw Apotheon Mu and the others rushing over. Your Majesty! Apotheon Mu and the others looked horrified and rushed to Tan Xiao's side. They looked worried when they saw their miserable appearances. Tan Xiao took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, "We encountered Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and almost died in their hands. Anyway, now isn't the time to talk about this. Immediately set off for the Rosefinch Holy Sect and solve the crisis of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. Then, we'll immediately wage war against the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace." Understood. A few days later, Tan Xiao was sitting cross-legged on a flying-type immortal artifact to heal his injuries. Suddenly, his expression changed as he sensed that Han Qingwu was calling him from his Dantian space. His divine sense immediately turned into an image and appeared in front of Han Qingwu. "What's the matter? Have your injuries healed?" Han Qingwu said, "The loss of my life force has completely stopped. The life force emitted by the Heavenly Path Universe tree is nourishing my immortal soul and body. However, it will take at least a few years for me to fully recover." Tan Xiao nodded slowly and said, "You can rest assured and heal here. I'll let you out when your injuries are healed. By the way, why did you call me?" Han Qingwu asked, "Are you going to make a move against the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace?" Tan Xiao nodded and said, "That's right. The Great Tang Empire has a strong army and many powerhouses. Even if all the powerhouses of the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace join forces, they still won't be a match for us." Han Qingwu nodded and said, "I know. The Great Tang Empire has more than a dozen powerhouses at the supremacy stage. However, in order to ensure our victory, send someone to contact the Missing Star Empire's Murong Tianhua, who used to be our old butler. He will lead the Missing Star Empire's army to help us." Brothers and sisters, you should be able to see that Return of the Immortal World is about to end. It's estimated that it will be completed during the National Day. If you want to see the continuation of Return of the Immortal World, you can only go to the official account. Quiet Night's official account is JYJS00, or you can search for Quiet Night Thoughts on WeChat. Brothers and sisters who haven't followed it yet, please follow it now. There will be a lot of benefits given out every day. Chapter 1380. Tan Xiao's eyes revealed a look of disbelief as he muttered, "You mean that the Missing Star Immortal of the Missing Star Empire is Murong Tianhua?" Han Qingwu shook her head and said, "I am the Missing Star Immortal. This is my new name after returning to the immortal world. The Missing Star Empire was also founded by me. Currently, there were 7 or 8 Supreme Being level experts in their ranks. I knew that you would take revenge sooner or later, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. However, with our current strength, it is enough to deal with the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace." Tan Xiao was shocked by this news. He never dreamed that Han Qingwu would be so powerful. She should have returned to the immortal world much earlier than he did, but in just 200 or 300 years, she had accomplished so much? Amazing! Tang Xiu sighed with heartfelt emotion. Han Qingwu smiled and shook her head. I was just lucky. I thought I was going to die, but I came across a great opportunity and obtained the secret palace of 4 supremes. I obtained all of their inheritances and all of their wealth. Tan Xiu was surprised. Which 4? Han Qingwu said, Supreme Heavenly Pill, Old Demon Knight, Demon King Wu Hui, and Blood Azura. They had agreed to fight in the immortal world, but they fell into a spatial tear. Even though they were all supremes, they still fell into it. There is a sea of death in that spatial tear. Tan Xiu was secretly shocked. He was once a supremes in the immortal world and was extremely powerful, but if he encountered a spatial tear like the Sea of Death, there was a 90% chance that he would die in it. This was because everyone in the immortal world knew that encountering the Sea of Death in a spatial tear was like encountering the Grim Reaper. It was extremely difficult to survive. Suddenly, Tan Xiu remembered Supreme Purgatory's visit. He clearly remembered Supreme Purgatory saying that the Missing Star Empire's emperor, the Missing Star Immortal, had purchased a large number of perfected golden immortals and golden immortals from the convict arena. In other words, Han Qingwu had indeed obtained a great deal of wealth from the secret palace left behind by the 4 supremacy stage powerhouses. When did you break through to the supremacy stage? Also, how did your Missing Star Empire manage to produce so many supreme beings? Tang Xiu asked. Han Qingwu smiled. It's not me, it's Murong Tianhua. Ever since our immortal abode was destroyed by Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao, he escaped after sustaining heavy injuries. Because of the continuous battles, he actually profited from the disaster and broke through to the Supreme Being realm. As you know, he was once a late-stage perfected golden immortal, and he was only half a step away from breaking through to the supremacy stage. I met him by chance and told him that you had returned. However, when he learned that I wanted to establish a force and help you in the future, he chose to stay. From the inheritance left behind by the 4 Supreme Being experts, I obtained a recipe to refine the divinity breaking pill. It can greatly increase the chances of breaking through to the Supreme Being realm. Thus, in just a short span of 200 to 300 years, the Missing Star Empire produced a group of Supremes. Tan Xiu nodded and said, That's already very good. Give me the communication talisman to contact Murong Tianhua. I will contact him in a bit. Alright. Han Qingwu nodded lightly and took out a communication talisman from her interspatial ring. After a while, Tan Xiu took out the communication talisman and typed in a few words before sending a message. Heavenly Phoenix, Immortal Domain. Murong Tianhua sat cross-legged in the Missing Star Empire's imperial palace, quietly cultivating. A faintly discernible aura enveloped the entire palace. Because there was a large spiritual energy gathering array inside the palace, the immortal qi here was exceptionally dense. Whoosh! A communication talisman broke through the layers of arrays and appeared in front of Murong Tianhua. When Murong Tianhua opened it and received the message, his expression changed immediately. Murong, it's me. Qingcheng and I were attacked by Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, and Qingcheng was heavily injured. I am currently leading the Great Tang Empire's immortal army towards the Rosefinch Holy Sect. I have brought the Missing Star Empire's army to assist us. Murong Tianhua's heart trembled after he read the message. Whose aura was he most familiar with in his life? It was definitely his former master, Star Cultivation Great Emperor. He knew that his master was still alive, and the Great Tang Empire was a colossus that his master had created. Thus, he did not doubt this message at all. He dashed out of the palace and shouted, This is His Majesty's order. The generals of the Missing Star Empire are to prepare their troops and set out. We will be heading towards the Rosefinch Holy Sect in half a day. Immediately, all the Supremes, perfected golden immortals, and tens of millions of immortal soldiers of the Missing Star Empire were mobilized. Under the attention of the Supremes, dozens of Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals dispatched a large number of immortal soldiers into the heavenly abode fairy weapons. Outside the Rosefinch Holy Sect, In the vast starry sky, Great Emperor Danqing's expression changed when he received a message token. He appeared outside the palace and shouted, "Everyone listen to my order. Immediately gather all the immortal stage powerhouses of the sect here. The Inner Pill sect is to prepare for war. We will annihilate the Great Tang Empire and the Rosefinch Holy Sect." Whoosh! A figure flashed in front of Great Emperor Danqing like a bolt of lightning. Zither Demon Jiuyao looked at Great Emperor Danqing with a cold expression and asked, "What happened?" Great Emperor Danqing's expression was a bit complicated, but it was filled with cold, killing intent. He said in a deep voice, "Star cultivation Great Emperor did not die. A wisp of his soul actually entered a small world. After 1,000 years, he actually killed his way back to the immortal world. The Great Tang Empire is a country that he personally created. A few days ago, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou led 6 supremacy stage powerhouses to assassinate the Star Cultivation Great Emperor, only to return in defeat. I'm afraid that the Great Tang Empire's immortal soldiers are already on their way here." Zither Demon Jiuyao's expression changed and a bit of fear flashed in his eyes. He said coldly, "Since we can kill him once, we can kill him again. Even if he has extraordinary talent, it is absolutely impossible for him to return to his peak state within 1,000 years. Disciples of the Everlasting Palace, listen to my order. Immediately send a message to the sect and have all the powerhouses of the sect come here. I don't believe that the tens of millions of immortals of my Everlasting Palace can't destroy the Great Tang Empire that has been established for hundreds of years." Immediately, streaks of light shot out in all directions. Bush, 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 bush. 4 figures flashed from afar and instantly appeared in front of Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao. The red-haired Supremes, In Wufa, had a murderous look in his eyes as he said in a deep voice, "I just received a message from my Ghost Sect's sect master. Tens of millions of powerhouses of my Ghost Sect will rush here to help the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace fight against the Great Tang Empire and the Rosefinch Holy Sect. From now on, all the powerhouses of my Ghost Sect will be under Great Emperor Danqing's command." Not only was Great Emperor Danqing not surprised, but he also revealed a bit of worry and asked in a deep voice, "How are Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's injuries?" In Wufa smiled bitterly and said, "My sect master's injuries are very serious and he almost died. However, the Emperor of the Great Tang Empire, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, and his 6 subordinates at the supremacy stage, 2 of them self-destructed their immortal souls, and 4 of them were seriously injured. Even the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor was nearly killed by my sect master." Great Emperor Danqing was ecstatic when he heard this and laughed loudly. "Good, good, good. Even if your sect master didn't kill the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, I'm afraid that they won't be able to fight for a while. It's very good. Oh, by the way, Zhu Wushou sent me a message and said that the formation breaking talisman to break the Rosefinch Holy Sect's formation will be delivered by your Ghost Sect's people. When they arrive, we will immediately attack the Rosefinch Holy Sect and try to destroy the Rosefinch Holy Sect before the Great Tang Empire's people arrive." In Wufa said, "The people who delivered the formation breaking talisman are already on the way. They will arrive in 6 days at most. However, a large number of powerhouses of my Ghost Sect won't be able to arrive in 6 days." Great Emperor Danqing sneered and said, "A large number of powerhouses of my Inner Pill Sect will arrive in 6 days, and a large number of powerhouses of the Everlasting Palace will also arrive in advance. That's enough." In the immortal world, the news of the Great Tang Empire's declaration of war against the Inner Pill Sect, the Everlasting Palace, and the Ghost Sect spread to every corner of the immortal world in just a few days. The immortals were shocked. All the immortals of the immortal world, including all the Supremes and perfected Golden Immortals, felt admiration for the Great Tang Empire. This was because they had never imagined that the Great Tang Empire would be so daring as to declare war against the 3 super sects of the immortal world at the same time. For a time, even some old monsters who were hiding in various corners of the immortal world appeared one after another to pay attention to the upcoming war. Convict Arena Headquarters. Supreme Purgatory and the 4 Supremes gathered in front of the immortal soul mirror and looked at the vast starry sky outside the Rosefinch Holy Sect through the mirror. They saw Great Emperor Danqing, Zither Demon Juyao, and Yin Wufa of the Ghost Sect. It seems like I overestimated the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. He's so young, yet he doesn't know what's good for him. Does he really think that the Great Tang Empire can go against the 3 super sects that have existed for tens of thousands of years? A few hundred years ago, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor's first batch of trusted subordinates were the deathmatch gladiators that he bought from the convict arena. Does he really think that a few hundred years of development can rival the ancient sects that have existed for tens of thousands of years? Supreme Purgatory shook his head with a look of contempt in his eyes. A green-robed old man nodded slowly and said, "The Great Tang Heavenly Emperor's declaration of war against the 3 super sects at the same time is indeed too hasty. He is a peerless genius, but it's a pity that he caused so much trouble in such a short time." What a pity! I originally thought that another peerless genius had appeared in the immortal world and would become the strongest supremes in the immortal world in the future. P.S. The closer it is to the end, the lower Quiet Knight's mood becomes. However, because the monthly votes and recommendation votes aren't good, and many readers are scolding me, they want me to end it quickly. Quiet Knight is really hurt and tired. I know that there are many brothers and sisters who like the immortal world and its characters and stories. However, reality is cruel. Quiet Knight will write the ending carefully and continue writing about the immortal world on the public account according to the comments of the brothers and sisters. She will also distribute benefits every day. Brothers and sisters who like Quiet Knight and the immortal world, please continue to support Quiet Knight on the public account. Quiet Knight's WeChat account is jwj00, or you can search for Quiet Knight on the public account and follow her. Chapter 1381. Supreme Purgatory said faintly, "Originally, I was still thinking that if the Great Tang Empire develops rapidly for another 1,000 years or even several thousand years, I would dare to bring the powerhouses of the convict arena to help the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect even if he wants to help them. What a pity!" The green-robed old man sighed. It is indeed a pity. The Great Tang Heavenly Emperor will definitely die, and even the Rosefinch Holy Sect will be implicated. The Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace are already strong enough, but the Ghost Sect is involved now. Others might not understand Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, but I know a lot about him. Don't be fooled by his low profile, but his strength is terrifying. I'm afraid he's no weaker than Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Juyao. The Ghost Sect has at least 4 supreme beings, which is more than the Inner Pill Sect and the Everlasting Palace. Suddenly, a ray of light flew in from outside the hall and was instantly caught by Supreme Purgatory. When Supreme Purgatory finished reading the contents of the communication amulet, his expression changed drastically. His eyes were filled with shock. "Purgatory Master, what happened? Did something big happen?" When the other 4 supreme beings saw Supreme Purgatory's expression, they started to question him. Supreme Purgatory closed his eyes slowly. When he opened them again, he smiled bitterly and shook his head. "We were just talking about the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, but I didn't expect that the news I just received would catch me off guard." Shade Demon Zhu Wushou led 6 Supremes and dozens of perfected golden immortals to ambush the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor somewhere in the immortal world. The result was unexpected. What happened? The green-robed old man asked anxiously. Supreme Purgatory smiled bitterly. The Great Tang Heavenly Emperor also had 6 Supremes with him, as well as a Star Devourer insect with the strength of a Supreme. The Great Tang Heavenly Emperor was heavily injured, and 2 of the 6 Supremes with him detonated their immortal souls, killing 3 Supremes and heavily injuring the other 3. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou was also in a miserable state. His immortal body detonated, and his immortal soul escaped. How is this possible? Heavens! How can the Great Tang Empire have so many Supremes? There were probably less than 100 Supremes in the entire immortal world. The Great Tang Empire actually has 6 Supremes and a Star Devourer insect that's comparable to a Supreme's. This force is simply too terrifying. No wonder he dared to challenge the 3 super sects of the immortal world at the same time. It turns out that he has so many supreme beings under him. Adding the 2 supreme beings of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, The number of supreme beings they have is no less than the other 3 super sections. Who would have thought that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou would end up like this? It's really too unexpected. Supreme Purgatory sighed. I haven't finished yet. During the battle, a mysterious woman suddenly appeared. She was the one who saved the great Tang Heavenly Emperor's life and heavily injured Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. It's just that the Supreme Martial Artist Realm woman was severely injured as a result. Hiss hiss. The other 4 had never imagined that there would be so many Supreme Being Realm experts involved. Supreme Purgatory sighed and said, "Forget it, let's just wait and see." Elsewhere in the immortal world, the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Mystery Empire was sitting on his golden throne. His eyes had already turned golden as he looked at the distant sky and sighed inwardly. "Heavenly Emperor, how's the battle going?" A tall and sturdy man in a white battle robe with long hair looked at the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Mystery Empire who was sitting on the golden throne and asked. The Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Mystery Empire smiled bitterly and said, "The great Tang Empire won a Pyrrhic victory." The tall and sturdy man said in disbelief, "Zhu Wushou and 6 Supremes of the Immortal World, a total of 7 Supremes of the Immortal World, still couldn't kill the great Tang Heavenly Emperor?" The Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Mystery Empire was silent for a long time before he murmured, "I can't see his fate anymore. But there's one thing I can deduce, and that is that the immortal world is going to be plunged into chaos soon." Nifa's Abyss. In the 9th layer of Nifa's city, Blackface Ghost Emperor looked at the virtual screen in front of him through the ghost race's divine artifact and murmured, "I'm afraid that the upcoming war will shake the entire immortal world. No matter who wins between the Great Tang Empire and the 3 major sects, the immortal world will be plunged into chaos. At that time, I'm afraid that the powerhouses of all worlds will pass through Nifa's Abyss and attack the immortal world, right?" A moment later, Blackface Ghost Emperor sent out a few message talismans and continued to watch the virtual screen in front of him quietly, waiting for the upcoming war. In addition, many Supremes of the immortal world were paying attention to the development of the situation. Everyone was guessing who would be the final winner. However, even though it was just a guess, they were more inclined to believe that the Inner Pill sect, the Everlasting Palace, and the Ghost sect would win. After all, these 3 major sects were all super forces with great influence in the immortal world. Great Emperor Danqing of the Inner Pill sect, Zither Demon Jiuyao of the Everlasting Palace, and Shade Demon Zhu Wushou of the Ghost sect were all peak powerhouses in the immortal world. With them around, the Great Tang Empire, which only had a few hundred years of history, would probably lose even if they went all out. Time passed quickly. In the blink of an eye, 6 days had passed. Outside the Vermilion Bird Holy Sect, when Great Emperor Danqing saw more than a dozen perfected golden immortals sent by Shade Demon Zhu Wushou to deliver the formation-breaking talismans, he immediately revealed an excited expression. In the void, hundreds of thousands of powerhouses of the 3 major sects were all ready to fight. Inside the Rosefinch Holy Sect, all the mortals were taken into the Heavenly Abode artifact by the powerhouses of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. All the immortals, regardless of their cultivation, were also ready to fight. The unprecedented war made everyone extremely nervous as they waited for the moment of the battle. In front of a majestic palace, Supreme Star Soul looked up at the starry sky and saw the millions of powerhouses of the 3 major sects outside. An intense battle intent surged in his heart. If it was a few hundred years ago, he definitely wouldn't have such thoughts. He only hoped that the protective array outside the Rosefinch Holy Sect would be able to keep the enemies outside. But now, the situation was completely different. Nowadays, the Rosefinch Holy Sect had many powerhouses. A large number of golden immortals had broken through to the perfected golden immortal stage, and many of them had even broken through to the supremacy stage. Especially recently, with a large amount of god blood pouring in, several perfected golden immortals had broken through to the supremacy stage. Including Apotheosis Bella and Sable Fiend Scorpio, the entire Rosefinch Holy Sect had a total of 11 Supremes. Supreme Star Soul was even confident that even if his son, Tan Xiu, hadn't arrived with the Great Tang Empire's army, the Rosefinch Holy Sect would still be able to fight against the millions of enemies outside. Sect Master, judging from the situation outside, it seems like they want to attack our Rosefinch Holy Sect. Star Tears didn't address Supreme Star Soul as Big Brother in front of everyone. Supreme Star Soul narrowed his eyes and said slowly, "You're right. From the looks of it, they really do want to attack our Rosefinch Holy Sect. Now, I suddenly suspect that the other party must have a way to break our clan-protecting Grand Array." Star Tears' expression changed and she said, "As far as I know, there is an item that can break our protective array. However, this item is almost non-existent in the immortal world, while the demon world has it." Supreme Star Soul asked, "What is it?" Star Tears said, "The demon world's peerless devil Venerable Cheong Tianshou is an expert in refining devil talismans, and one of them is called the Formation-Breaking Talisman. Unless it's a super divine array, the immortal world's great arrays, including many super large-grade protective arrays, won't be able to block it. If the other party obtains the Formation-Breaking Talisman, I'm afraid that we'll have to fight a powerful enemy immediately." Formation-Breaking Talisman. Supreme Star Soul took a deep breath and said solemnly, "I think that the other party might have obtained the Formation-Breaking Talisman. Inform everyone to prepare for battle. Also, I'm afraid that our continent is about to be torn apart. When the battle is over, we'll have to choose a new location for our sect." Star Tears smiled bitterly. "Let alone our continent, I'm afraid that even this immortal domain and the surrounding immortal domains won't be able to survive the upcoming battle. However, Xiu has already occupied 10 immortal domains in the Immortal Lyceum, which is more than enough for our Rosefinch Holy Sect to choose a new location." Supreme Star Soul silently nodded his head. Boom! An earth-shattering explosion resounded, causing all the immortals to feel a faint pain in their eardrums. Cracks gradually appeared on the Rosefinch Holy Sect's protective array in front of the millions of immortals. As the cracks increased, the entire protective array shattered in just an hour, exposing the Rosefinch Holy Sect to the millions of experts of the 3 major sections. Zither Demon Juyao hugged a zither and looked down at the millions of immortals of the Rosefinch Holy Sect from the sky. He laughed loudly and said, "Bastards of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, I bet you didn't expect that we would have a way to break your protective array, right? Your time of death has come. The day of your Rosefinch Holy Sect's annihilation has also come." Supreme Star Soul instantly soared into the sky. His eyes flickered with cold killing intent as he said in an awe-inspiring tone, "The current Rosefinch Holy Sect is no longer the same as before. Zither Demon Juyao, are you sure that you can annihilate my Rosefinch Holy Sect?" Zither Demon Juyao sneered, "Of course. With your Vermilion Bird Holy Sect's capabilities, if it wasn't for that damned sect protecting Grand Array, you would have been annihilated hundreds of years ago. Supreme Star Soul, that precious son of yours isn't dead yet, but he's now a piece of trash, an ant in our eyes. I'll spare your dog life until we annihilate every last member of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. I'll let you see with your own eyes how I chop off your precious son's head and use it as a chamber pot." Supreme Star Soul shook his head and sighed. "I've seen many shameless people, but none of them can match up to you. Forget it, you're just a clown. The one who has some ability is Great Emperor Danqing. Great Emperor Danqing, don't hide in the back. Since you're going to be the leader of this battle, come out and have a chat with me. P.S. During the National Day double period, I'm weekly asking for a monthly vote." Chapter 1382. Wearing a battle robe, Great Emperor Danqing stepped on the void and approached the members of the Rosefinch Holy Sect step by step. His eyes flickered with radiance as he grinned. "Supreme Star Soul, we once called you uncle out of respect for star cultivation, Great Emperor. Now that your precious son has become an ant, you should give up resisting. As long as your Rosefinch Holy Sect submits to us, we might leave a few bloodline members for you to pass on." Supreme Star Soul laughed involuntarily. "Great Emperor Danqing, do you really think that our Rosefinch Holy Sect will be annihilated by you today?" Great Emperor Danqing beckoned with his hand, and 4 Supremes appeared behind him. He smiled and said, "Zither Demon Juyao, In Wufa, and I are all Supremes. Together with the 4 of them, we have a total of 7 supremes. Do you think that your Rosefinch holy sect can survive under our relentless pursuit? Supreme Star Soul smiled strangely. Comparing the number of supremes? Are you sure? Great Emperor Danqing sneered. Of course I'm not mistaken. I want to use numbers to scare you and make you lose your will to fight. Supreme Star Soul laughed loudly. Since you really want to compare the number of supremes, how can I show weakness? Supremes of the Rosefinch holy sect, come out and let the sect master of the Inner Pill sect, Great Emperor Danqing, widen his horizons. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, 10 lightning-fast figures instantly appeared behind Supreme Star Soul. Every single one of them emitted the aura of an expert. The earth-shattering pressure caused the smiles on the faces of Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao to instantly freeze as disbelief filled their eyes. 11 Supremes? Including Supreme Star Soul, the Rosefinch holy sect actually had 11 Supremes? What kind of joke was this? How was this possible? Supreme Star Soul sneered. Great Emperor Danqing, are you dumbfounded right now? Have you been stunned by us? Look at your expression, it's really interesting. Great Emperor Danqing roared in disbelief. That's impossible. We know exactly how powerful the Rosefinch holy sect is. We've been fighting for so many years, and I'm well aware of how many Supreme Being experts you have. Even if there were 2 Supremacy Stage experts who charged into the Rosefinch holy sect, you should only have 4 Supremacy Stage experts at most. How could there be so many of them? Supreme Star Soul laughed heartily and said, Many? Do you really think that our Rosefinch holy sect has a lot of Supreme Masters? He was simply a frog at the bottom of a well, without any knowledge. Heed my command, all disciples of the Rosefinch holy sect. The time has come to decide whether our Rosefinch holy sect will be destroyed or not. If you want to live, then bring out your most terrifying form and let them know that the ones who lost weren't us, but them. Kill. 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 Tens of millions of disciples of the Rosefinch holy sect took out their natal immortal weapons one after another. Along with Supreme Star Soul and the other 10 Supremes, the hundreds of perfected golden immortals behind them were unwilling to be left behind, and they also charged forward with surging killing intent. Kill. The sky above the Rosefinch holy sect turned into a meat grinder in a short period of time. Tens of millions of immortal weapons and divine weapons tore through the sky and bombarded the enemy's camp. Tens of thousands of immortals died the moment the 2 sides came into contact. The earth quaked, the mountains shook, and the sun and moon lost their radiance. The entire immortal domain, and even the distant starry sky, was filled with the thick smell of blood that constantly spread into the distance. Life seemed to have become the cheapest thing in the world at this moment. 3 days later, just as the 2 sides were evenly matched, the armies of tens of millions of immortals from the Inner Pill sect, Everlasting Palace, and Ghost sect arrived one after another. With their addition, the Rosefinch holy sect's losses increased significantly. Since we share the same root, let's kill them all together. As an aged voice sounded, the sky-exterminating old beggar led the other 3 Supremes and millions of immortals from the 4 sacred palaces to join the battle. This battle, nearly 100 Supremes from the immortal world, tens of thousands of perfected golden immortals, and hidden experts from every corner of the immortal world were paying attention to this battle. Even the experts from the Devil World, Monster World, Spirit World, Ghost World, and Azura World were using various divine abilities to observe the battle. All the forces were shocked by the sudden appearance of so many Supremes and perfected golden immortals in the Rosefinch holy sect. However, the balance in their hearts was still leaning towards the Inner Pill sect, Everlasting Palace, and Ghost sect. The Rosefinch holy sect is already at a disadvantage. Fortunately, they have the help of the 4 sacred palaces. Otherwise, the Rosefinch holy sect would have suffered even greater losses. The final winner of this battle will definitely be the 3 major sections. This is really interesting. The immortal world is going to suffer great losses this time. Just wait and see. This battle won't end in a short time. When they go all out, both sides will suffer great losses. Isn't there still the Great Tang Empire? Why is there no trace of it now? Could it be that the great Tang Heavenly Emperor is afraid and is unwilling to help the Rosefinch Holy Sect? If that's the case, I'm afraid that the Rosefinch Holy Sect will still be destroyed. It's not just the Rosefinch Holy Sect. Even the 4 sacred palaces will suffer. Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao are really terrifying. They are 2 late-stage supremes, yet they are still able to deal with the siege of 6 supremes with ease. They even managed to injure 2 of the supremes. This time, the Rosefinch Holy Sect and the 4 sacred palaces are really out of luck. How pitiful! Countless comments were made. Everyone seemed to have seen the crushing defeat and annihilation of the Rosefinch Holy Sect and the 4 sacred palaces. On the 5th day, nearly half of the tens of millions of immortals who participated in the battle had died. As for the Rosefinch Holy Sect and the 4 sacred palaces, their losses were heavier than the 3 major sections. However, they were still able to resist the attacks of the 3 major sects by relying on the number of supremes and perfected golden immortals. An angry roar came from the distant sky. Hundreds of thousands of miles away, more than a dozen supremes and nearly 100 perfected golden immortals were rushing over. As the heavenly abode they carried with them opened, a group of immortal soldiers rushed out from it. What's that? Heavens! That's the flag of the Great Tang Empire. Are those immortal soldiers of the Great Tang Empire? What kind of formation is this? Why does it look like the military formation of those empires in the mortal world? Those supremes? Impossible, absolutely impossible. How can the Great Tang Empire have more than a dozen supremes? My eyes must be playing tricks on me. So many supreme being experts? So many perfected golden immortals? The Great Tang Empire has only been established for a few hundred years, so where did so many powerhouses come from? This is too terrifying. For a moment, all the forces who were paying attention to this battle were shocked by the strength of the Great Tang Empire. In the void, Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao joined forces and bombarded the 6 supremes of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. However, when the Great Tang Empire's army appeared in front of them, the 2 of them were also shocked. At this moment, their fighting spirit even disappeared quickly. The Rosefinch Holy Sect, the Great Tang Empire. The 4 sacred palaces actually have more than 30 supremes in total. Where did so many supreme being experts come from? Great Emperor Danqing faintly despaired. He had never dreamed that the enemy would be so powerful. They were so powerful that his fighting spirit collapsed in fear, and he even had the urge to turn around and run. Zither Demon Jiuyao's heart was filled with horror. He was also frightened by the scene of the Great Tang Empire. As the Great Tang Empire's army changed their formations and charged towards them like a tidal wave, his scalp went numb, and he couldn't wait to escape immediately. Tan Xiu stood on a carriage and looked coldly at the familiar faces of Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao. His heart was filled with murderous intent. If it wasn't for the fact that his injuries had not yet healed and his current fighting strength was only comparable to an early-stage supremacy, he would have rushed forward and killed Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao with his own hands. Let's run. 2 days later, the powerhouses of the 3 major sects, who had suffered heavy losses from the encirclement, sent a voice transmission to their own sect disciples with bitterness. The people of the 3 parties gathered together and slaughtered their way out like a torrent, hoping to escape. Everyone follow me and kill. After the remaining hundreds of thousands of people from the 3 major sects killed their way out of the encirclement, they thought that they could escape. However, a roar in front of them shattered their hopes. There were a large number of immortals, earth immortals, heaven immortals, profound immortals, and even golden immortals and perfected golden immortals in an orderly battle formation. It was a battle of tens of millions of people, and they crushed the members of the 3 major sects who were the fastest to escape. Kill! Murong Tian was aura surged, and he led the supremacy stage powerhouses to completely seal off the escape route of the 3 major sections. Who are you people? Zither Demon Jiuyao, who was being bombarded by the 8 supremacy stage powerhouses, roared angrily. Murong Tianhua shouted loudly, "We are the warriors of the Missing Star Empire. We are the subordinates of the Missing Star Immortal Venerable. We have received orders to join forces with the Great Tang Empire, the Rosefinch Holy Sect, and the 4 sacred palaces to kill all the disciples of the Inner Pill Sect, Everlasting Palace, and Ghost Sect. The Missing Star Empire? The entire immortal world was in an uproar. This was because the 2 most rapidly developing cultivation nations in the immortal world in the recent hundreds of years were actually from the same faction. At this moment, they could already see clearly that the most terrifying force in the immortal world in the future would be the alliance of these 4 forces. With their strength, it wouldn't be difficult for them to sweep through the entire immortal world. The slaughter became even more intense. Immortals self-destructed their immortal souls, and powerhouses were slaughtered one after another. As time passed, another 14 days passed. Great Emperor Danqing, Zither Demon Jiuyao, and Yin Wufa had been forced into a corner. Other than the 20 or so perfected golden immortals who were still alive, everyone else had died in battle. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou was similar to Xue Qingqing in the immortal world. He was a tragic character because his parents were killed by the Vermilion Bird sect. Thus, he schemed to take revenge on the Vermilion Bird sect and sent Xue Qingqing to Tan Xiu's side as a spy. In Silent Night setting, Shade Demon was not a bad person. On the contrary, he was very handsome, loyal, brave, and resourceful. He was far from the likes of Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao, who would betray their own brothers in the face of profit. Today, Silent Night's latest post on Prestige was about Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. The immortal world was coming to an end, so if you wanted to read more exciting stories and comics about the immortal world, please follow Silent Night's WeChat account as soon as possible. Silent Night's public ID was JYJS00, or search for Silent Night's public ID. Chapter 1383. The cruel slaughter was coming to an end. In the vast void, the land where the Rosefinch Holy Sect lived had been completely shattered. It was like garbage in the universe that could be seen everywhere. The hundreds of nearby planets were also affected by the battle between the 2 sides and exploded one after another. Turbulence wreaked havoc in this part of the starry sky. A large number of corpses floated in the void, reeking of blood. Kill! Tan Xiu was shrouded in a baleful aura. His divine sword turned into layers of a sea of swords that bombarded the remaining members of the 3 major sections. Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao, in particular, received the most attention. Most of the attacks from dozens of Supremes were directed at them, causing their already serious injuries to worsen. Star Cultivation Great Emperor, please let us live on account of our past friendship. I, Zither Demon Jiuyao, promise you that I won't stay in the immortal world for the rest of my life. Zither Demon Jiuyao's face was pale. His back was hit by a 9th-grade immortal artifact, causing him to spurt out a mouthful of blood as he roared in horror. Tang Xiu narrowed his eyes, but a ruthless glint flashed in his eyes. His figure rapidly retreated 100 miles back and coldly looked at Zither Demon Jiuyao, who was gradually losing his strength. He sneered and said, "Past friendship? What a joke. Back then, you took advantage of my successful tribulation and suddenly attacked me when I was at my weakest. Did you ever think about our past friendship at that time? If you're strong and we're weak now, will you ever think about our past friendship? For the past 1,000 years, you've slaughtered a large number of my clansmen and tens of millions of my Rosefinch Holy Sect's disciples. Have you ever thought about our past friendship?" Zither Demon Jiuyao bitterly smiled. "I originally thought that I was ruthless enough, but I didn't expect you to be even more ruthless than me. How hateful! Why did you let a wisp of your soul escape back then? Otherwise, how could your Rosefinch Holy Sect have a chance to make a comeback?" Killing intent surged in Tan Xiu's eyes as he laughed loudly. "The winner is king and the loser is a bandit. Since you disregarded your brotherhood and tried to kill me, you should be prepared to be killed by others one day. Don't you guys want to obtain the heavenly art of cosmic genesis? Don't you want to comprehend a higher-level cultivation technique and attempt to pass the test of the deity tribulation? Let me tell you, in this life, I am practicing the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. Do you know? If he wanted to cultivate the heavenly art of cosmic genesis, he would need to cripple his own cultivation and start all over again. If you hadn't tried to kill me, how would I have understood the cultivation requirements of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis? How could he possibly comprehend the strongest cultivation technique? Zither Demon Jiuyao bellowed, "Impossible! You must have comprehended the mysteries of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis long ago, but deliberately concealed it from us. How can we forgive a selfish person like you so easily? Back then, we tried to kill you because you didn't treat us as brothers at all." Tan Xiu snorted coldly. "Zither Demon Jiuyao, do you think I still need to lie to you at this time? Back then, I really didn't comprehend the cultivation method of the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. Although I studied it for a long time, I didn't have a clue at all, let alone a way to cultivate it. In fact, the heavenly art of cosmic genesis is a cultivation technique of the demon gods, and it has a huge conflict with the immortal chi in our bodies. It's impossible for immortals to cultivate it. It's you guys who are suspicious of me and dissatisfied with me. But have you forgotten that I have already imparted the heavenly art of cosmic genesis to you? Didn't you guys study it too? Why can't you cultivate it?" Zither Demon Jiuyao fell silent. In the past, they thought that Tan Xiu was deliberately hiding it from them and gave them a fake heavenly art of cosmic genesis. But after hearing Tan Xiu's words, they finally understood that what Tan Xiu said was probably true. At this time, there was no need for him to lie to himself anymore. Great Emperor Dan Qing felt a bit regretful, but since things had already come to this, he could only brace himself and continue. He said coldly, "Star Cultivation Great Emperor, since we have done what we should, we can only blame you for obtaining the heavenly art of cosmic genesis. You are right, the winner is king, and the loser is a thief. Enough with the nonsense. You will have to pay a painful price if you want to kill us." Tan Xiu took a deep breath and shouted coldly, "All the supremes of the Great Tang Empire, the Rosefinch Holy Sect, the 4 sacred palaces, and the Missing Star Empire. Also, all the perfected golden immortals in the surroundings. I, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, still have 100 drops of God blood. You all know the value of God blood, so kill all the enemies in front of you, and the 100 drops of God blood will be yours. In addition, every supremacy stage powerhouse will receive a divinity attainment pill." God blood? Divinity attainment pill? As the saying goes, brave men are bound to appear when a great reward is offered. Apart from the Supremes who were able to remain calm after Tan Xiu obtained the god's corpse, the other Supremes, as well as the 200 perfected golden immortals in the surroundings, all revealed excited expressions. In an instant, the power of their attacks increased exponentially. "I can't accept this." Zither Demon Jiuyao's injuries had worsened to the point that they had even begun to affect his combat ability. He knew that death was the only way out for him today. A resolute expression appeared on his face as he ignored the attacks of dozens of immortal artifacts and instantly rushed toward the nearby enemies. Explode! A terrifying wave of explosion instantly spread in all directions. With his late-stage supremacy stage cultivation, the power produced by the self-detonation of his immortal soul was even more terrifying than the explosion of dozens of planets at once. However, the 8 Supremes took out their defensive immortal artifacts at the same time and set up layers of defense the moment Zither Demon Jiuyao self-detonated. Struck by the huge explosion, the 8 Supremes spurted blood at the same time and were sent flying backward. The 8 top-notch defensive immortal artifacts they took out were also destroyed in the explosion. The 8 Supremes suffered heavy injuries and were forced to retreat thousands of miles before they barely managed to stop their steps. However, less than half of the dozens of perfected golden immortals who were very close to them died tragically in the self-detonation of Zither Demon Jiuyao's immortal soul, while the rest also suffered heavy injuries. The only fortunate thing was that the perfected golden immortals' immortal souls managed to escape and were instantly sucked into the heavenly abode artifact by Tan Xiu. Great Emperor Danqing's heart was filled with sympathy for the loss of his own kind. He shot a deep look at Tan Xiu and shouted, "Star Cultivation Great Emperor, you're well aware of my cultivation art and that I have 2 other clones. Even if my main body dies in battle, I still have 2 clones to keep me alive. If you don't want to wait for my revenge in the future, get out of the way immediately and let us leave." I can spare your lives if you give up resisting now, Tan Xiu sneered. Otherwise, even if you have 2 other clones, you will still be endlessly hunted down by us. Don't worry, we'll find you no matter where you run to. I believe that no one in the immortal world or other realms will dare to shelter you now. Most importantly, I have 100 drops of god blood in my hand. How long do you think you can live if I casually take out the god blood and put a bounty on your head in all the realms? Despair rose in Great Emperor Danqing's heart. He knew that Tan Xiu was right. The allure of the god blood was so attractive that even a supremacy stage powerhouse would be willing to go all out for it. At that time, he was afraid that he would really have no way to escape to heaven and no gate to hell. Huff! Great Emperor Danqing took a deep breath and shouted in a deep voice, "Remember your promise, Star Cultivation Great Emperor. Tell your people to stop and we'll give up resisting." Tan Xiu raised his hand slightly. Suddenly, a large number of supremacy stage powerhouses and perfected golden immortals around him stopped attacking and retreated dozens of miles away. However, they still surrounded Great Emperor Danqing and the dozen perfected golden immortals to prevent them from escaping. "Hand over your weapons and all your belongings. Also, I need to see you seal your cultivation," Tan Xiu said in a deep voice. Great Emperor Danqing was silent for a long time before he nodded bitterly. He cut off the connection between his immortal artifact and himself and spat out a mouthful of blood before handing it over to an ordinary immortal of the Great Tang Empire who rushed forward together with his interspatial ring. Seeing that Great Emperor Danqing had surrendered, the dozen perfected golden immortals finally suppressed their unwillingness and handed over their immortal artifacts and all the treasures in their interspatial rings. "Seal your cultivation," Tan Xiu shouted in a deep voice. After hesitating for a long time, Great Emperor Danqing and the dozen perfected golden immortals sighed and sealed their cultivation. Tan Xiu smiled coldly, sat cross-legged, and slowly closed his eyes. What's going on? Regardless of whether it was Tan Xiu's subordinates, the people of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, or the people of the 4 sacred palaces and the missing Star Empire, all of them were puzzled. Even Great Emperor Danqing and the dozen perfected golden immortals were confused by Tan Xiu's actions. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, 2 days had passed in this stalemate. The sect master of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, Supreme Star Soul, finally couldn't help but come to Tan Xiu and send a voice transmission to him. "Xiu, what are you doing?" Tan Xiu opened his eyes, which were filled with excitement. He respectfully sent a voice transmission back. "Father, Xiu misses you very much." Supreme Star Soul's heart was also filled with excitement. However, he was the sect master and knew that this wasn't the time to be sentimental. He sent a voice transmission back. "Your mother and I also miss you very much. However, you should explain to me why you're doing this." Tan Xiu said, "Father, don't be anxious. Just wait a little longer. You just need to wait a little longer and you'll understand why. I must eliminate this threat once and for all in this battle. The climax is coming. Please double the monthly votes and recommendation votes." Chapter 1384. Supreme Star Soul took a deep look at Tan Xiu. Although he didn't know what his son was planning, he was well aware that his son might have some tricks up his sleeve. "All right, I trust you more than I trust myself," said Supreme Star Soul through voice transmission. Tan Xiu's heart warmed and he replied, "Father, please tell Mother that I won't meet her for the time being because there are still unsafe factors around me. I'll look for her to apologize after I completely eradicate Great Emperor Danqing and the others." Supreme Star Soul turned to look at his wife, especially when he saw that Sable Fiend Scorpio was always by his wife's side to ensure her safety. He immediately nodded in satisfaction. He knew that his son had arranged this a long time ago. Time flew by. Just when everyone was confused, Great Emperor Danqing's eyes suddenly widened and a pained expression appeared on his face. His expression became distorted and his body began to tremble violently. With a beast-like roar, he looked at Tan Xiu with resentment and roared, "Xing Xiu, you damned bastard! How dare you not keep your promise? Even if I die, I'll drag you down with me." As soon as his voice faded, he instantly pounced on Tan Xiu. At the same time, his body expanded and a small and exquisite golden pagoda floated out from his glabella. Attack! A look of disdain flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. He roared and instantly retreated backward. In the next moment, more than a dozen Supremes attacked Great Emperor Danqing one after another. All of them instantly erupted with their strongest attacks. Although Great Emperor Danqing had sealed his cultivation, he could still detonate his immortal soul. The swelling of his body was a sign that he was about to detonate his immortal soul. Immortal artifacts bombarded Great Emperor Danqing one after another, reaping his life before his immortal soul could explode. His immortal soul also suffered heavy damage in an instant, so much so that the small golden pagoda was also sent flying into the distance. A few seconds before Great Emperor Danqing's soul dissipated, Tan Xiu burst into laughter. This golden pagoda is something I gave you back then. How could I not know that it's your final trump card? Great Emperor Danqing, your despicable actions led to your eventual death. A person should always be filled with justice. The dozen perfected golden immortals were horrified when they saw Great Emperor Danqing being killed. They wanted to escape, but they had sealed their cultivation base. They had no other choice but to detonate their immortal souls. However, some people who didn't want to die still chose to rush to the side to avoid the 6 or 7 companions who had self-detonated their immortal souls. Unfortunately, after they sealed their cultivations, their speeds were truly too slow. They hadn't been able to escape far before they were blasted into pieces, and only their immortal souls were barely able to escape. However, Tan Xiu had no intention of sparing their lives at all. As he took out his divine sword, it turned into a 10,000-meter-long beam of light and smashed those immortal souls into pieces. Xiu. Supreme Star Soul quickly appeared in front of Tan Xiu and asked, "What did you do?" Tan Xiu smiled faintly. "I used 3 drops of God blood to invite 3 Supremes from the immortal world to kill Great Emperor Danqing's clone. After all, I've known him for so many years, so I naturally know where his clone is hiding. Now, Great Emperor Danqing is truly dead." Supreme Star Soul was overjoyed and nodded heavily. "You did well. Since you wanted to kill him, you had to eliminate the roots. Otherwise, you'll leave behind future troubles. Xiu, you did well." Tan Xiu smiled faintly and said, "Father, Great Emperor Danqing and Zither Demon Jiuyao are both dead. Almost 90% of the experts of their sects are dead as well. So, let's go after the remaining clowns. We have to kill them all. Eliminate the roots." Supreme Star Soul nodded heavily and said, "Xiu, from today onwards, you're the sect master of the Rosefinch Holy Sect. All disciples of the Rosefinch Holy Sect, heed my command. The Great Tang Heavenly Emperor is my son, Star Cultivation Great Emperor. He didn't die 1,000 years ago, but he reincarnated and killed his way back to the immortal world. So, from today onwards, the orders of my son, Star Cultivation Great Emperor, are my orders. All disciples of the Rosefinch Holy Sect must obey his orders." "Understood." The 7 to 8 million immortals of the Rosefinch Holy Sect roared loudly. More than 95% of them were born 1,000 years ago, so they naturally knew who Star Cultivation Great Emperor was. Even the peerless geniuses born later had heard of the legend of Star Cultivation Great Emperor. In their hearts, not only was Star Cultivation Great Emperor not inferior to the sect master, but he was even more worthy of their respect. Tan Xiu nodded with a smile and looked at the palace master of the 4 sacred palace, Sky Exterminator Old Beggar. He cupped his fists and said with a smile, "Thank you, everyone of the 4 sacred palace, for your help and contributions to the Rosefinch Holy Sect in the past 1,000 years. I'm prepared to let the Rosefinch Holy Sect join the Great Tang Empire completely, as well as the missing Star Empire. May I ask Senior Sky Exterminator what you plan to do next?" The Sky Exterminator Old Beggar floated over and bowed. "May I ask how much does the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor know about the origin of the 4 sacred palace?" Tan Xiu said in a deep voice, "We were a family more than 100,000 years ago. Now that we've gone through a tribulation, we're still family. No matter what you plan to do, I, the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, will respect you and the four sacred palace. The sky exterminator old beggar laughed loudly. Said, we're a family, so why should we separate? From today onwards, the four sacred palace will be a part of the great Tang Empire. All the disciples of the four sacred palace will be under the command of the great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. The millions of immortals of the four sacred palace roared loudly. They had already received the order from their superiors, so they naturally knew about the future. Therefore, no one questioned or refuted him at this moment. Tan Xiu laughed and said, since the four sacred palace is willing to join the great Tang Empire, we'll all be part of the great Tang Empire from now on. We're a true family. As far as I know, the Qilin lineage of the four sacred palace should still exist, right? A burly man clad in scale armor and combat boots quickly came in front of Tan Xiu and said loudly, Supreme Flame King of the Qilin lineage greets your majesty. Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and said, our ancestors were the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, Black Tortoise, and Qilin. Although I don't know how many of them are still alive, the descendants of the Qilin ancestor are now the guardian beasts of the great Tang Empire. Your joining is a reunion. Supreme Flame King's pupils constricted and he exclaimed, our ancestor of the Qilin lineage left behind a bloodline? Heavens! The heavens have blessed our Qilin lineage. For hundreds of thousands of years, the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, Vermilion Bird, and Black Tortoise lineages have all been passed down by their descendants. Only our Qilin lineage has been unable to reproduce and has completely disappeared from the immortal world. Now, our ancestor of the Qilin lineage still has a bloodline, which means that our Qilin lineage is still a member of this big family. We're still family. Congratulations to the Qilin lineage. Congratulations to the Qilin lineage. Congratulations to the Qilin lineage. The leaders of the Azure Dragon, White Tiger, and Black Tortoise lineages all floated out and roared with laughter. Tan Xiu also laughed and said, congratulations to the Qilin lineage. The Vermilion Bird lineage wishes the Qilin lineage to be passed on forever. After saying that, Tan Xiu soared into the sky and stood a kilometer above everyone. He shouted, from today onwards, the four armies will have their own lineages. My great Tang Empire is the top immortal empire in the immortal world. I hereby announce that we will not provoke other sects or harm other immortals in the immortal world. However, if anyone dares to conspire against the great Tang Empire or kill a member of the great Tang Empire, the great Tang Empire will retaliate against them. Although I, the great Tang Heavenly Emperor, am not the strongest powerhouse in the great Tang Empire, I will lead the powerhouses of the empire to break through the divinity tribulation, break the shackles of the immortal world, and rush to the God world to live freely. Break through the divinity tribulation and break the shackles. Become a god. Break through the divinity tribulation and break the shackles. Become a god. Break through. The roars of 70 to 80 million immortals shook the entire space. Tan Xiu's declaration also shook the entire immortal world. Great Tang Empire. All the superpowers and sects in the immortal world knew about the new Great Tang Empire. They all knew that the Great Tang Empire had become the strongest power in the immortal world. More than 30 supreme being experts. Hundreds of perfected golden immortals. The number of golden immortals was innumerable. The immortal army was like a well-trained lion that could bare its fangs and claws at any time to tear any enemy to shreds. The demon world, monster world, spirit world, ghost world, and Azura world. The top powerhouses of each world were still restless and ready to attack the immortal world when the immortal world was in turmoil. They wanted to seize the immortal world's territory, kill the immortals, seize their treasures, and enjoy the prosperity of the immortal world. However, the situation of the Great Tang Empire made all the powerhouses angry and unwilling. The wild ambitions that grew in their hearts suffered a heavy blow. In the end, they could only give up on their original plans. Great Tang Empire. It was really too terrifying. If they were to rush into the immortal world only to face the powerhouses and armies of the Great Tang Empire, they would probably be annihilated there. Rosefinch Holy Sect's former encampment. In the void, Tang Xiu proudly stood upright and shouted in a deep voice, "Dispatch the troops to attack the Inner Pill Sect, the Everlasting Palace, the Myriad Sword Sect, and the remaining disciples of the 100 Poison Sect." The Ghost Sect. Understood. With the departure of the army and the departure of the powerhouses, Tan Xiu handed over all the matters to Tang Oolong, who was now a golden immortal and the dazzling commander of the great Tang Empire. Tan Xiu believed that Tang Oolong would definitely be able to complete the task given by him after hundreds of years of training and painstaking efforts. Soon, under the watchful eyes of many people, Tan Xiu arrived in front of Apotheon Carmen Mist, who had just broken through to the supremacy stage, and knelt down in the void. "Mother, your son is back." Some people said that Zither Demon Jiuyao's image on the WeChat account was more handsome than Tan Xiu's. But how could that be possible? Zither Demon Jiuyao was just a lowly demon. He was jealous that Tan Xiu was more handsome than him, so he ambushed and assassinated Tan Xiu. The immortal world will soon come to an end, but the following exciting stories will continue on the Prestige WeChat account. Brothers and sisters who like the immortal world, please follow the WeChat account as soon as possible. Quiet Night's WeChat account is JS00, or search for Quiet Night's thoughts on the WeChat account. Chapter 1385. Time flew by, and the years passed by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 800 years had passed. It had been 800 years since the destruction of the Inner Pill Sect, the Everlasting Palace, the Myriad Sword Sect, and the Ghost Sect. From the initial turmoil in the immortal world to the great Tang Empire establishing 8 more immortal domains and occupying them, the chaos in the immortal world gradually calmed down. Under the Iron Law, the number of citizens of the great Tang Empire kept increasing, and batches of peerless cultivation geniuses kept emerging. Stability and fairness were all established under the Iron Law of the great Tang Empire. Therefore, even the faraway immortal domains had people rushing to the great Tang Empire to start a family and live here. One thing that had to be mentioned in these 800 years was that Tan Xiu's children had increased to more than 40. Most of them were sons, while the other half were daughters. Misty Spring Ocean. The great Tang Empire's core imperial city was more prosperous than any of the main cities in the immortal world. The degree of peace and tranquility made countless city lords who thought that they were very stable feel inferior. Everyone in the immortal world knew that there were at least 10 supremes guarding the great Tang Empire's imperial city. Golden Throne Hall. Tan Xiu distributed a large number of cultivation resources and left with the great Tang Empire's top officials. A figure rushed in from the outside like lightning. He was handsome and somewhat similar to Tan Xiu. He had a tall and straight figure and exuded a masculine aura. "Father." Tang Nian smiled and bowed to Tan Xiu. Then, he said with a smile, "Senior sister brought me back from the endless sea. Let me tell you some good news. Senior sister has broken through to the supremacy stage and became the 100th supremacy of the great Tang Empire." Tang Xiu's eyes lit up. He nodded with a smile and said, "Gu Yin's cultivation talent is top-notch even in the immortal world. It's not beyond my expectation that she can break through to the supremacy stage in just 1 or 2 millennia. But you, are you still at the golden immortal stage?" Tang Nian looked a bit embarrassed and said, "Father, you know that I don't like to cultivate. I don't like to cultivate. I like to travel around and increase my experience. But don't worry, I'll be able to break through to the supremacy stage within 100 years at the latest." Tan Xiu shook his head and said with a smile, "I originally planned to pass the throne of the great Tang Empire to you in the future, but it turns out that your personality is really not suitable for inheriting the throne." Tang Nian smiled. "Emperor Father, it's best for you to give up on the idea of me inheriting the throne as soon as possible. You understand me the best. If I were to become the new emperor, I'm afraid I would be annoyed to death by such restrictions." Tan Xiu asked with a faint smile, "Then, who do you think is the most suitable to inherit my throne among your brothers?" Tan Xiu thought for a moment, then shook his head and said with a smile, "Although my brothers are very outstanding, I don't think it's the time to consider these things. If you really want me to choose one, Imperial Father, I think Tang Song is not bad. If you were given another 1,000 years, I'm afraid His Excellence would exceed the expectations of many people. Tang Song? Tan Xiu looked at Tang Yen in a daze and asked, Tang Song is only 16 years old this year. Why did you choose him? You said he's outstanding, but what's the specific analysis? Tang Yen said, although Tang Song is only 16 years old, his cultivation aptitude is the best among all his brothers and sisters. Even senior sister Gu Yin secretly sighed and said that Tang Song's cultivation aptitude is even more heaven-defying than hers. In just a short 16 years, he has broken through to the great ascension stage. I'm afraid that he will be able to ascend and become an immortal before the age of 30. In addition, among all the empresses, there is only one who doesn't want her child to become the new emperor, and that's the first empress. Therefore, the teaching of Tang Song is to let him be open-minded, upright, and righteous. Tan Xiu was silent. He also paid attention to the matter of Han Qingwu teaching his son, Tang Song. Naturally, he knew that his eldest son, Tang Yen, was right. Ever since he brought Han Qingwu back to the great Tang Empire 800 years ago, she had endured many strange gazes and also a lot of pressure. But in the end, she used her sincerity to influence everyone and made everyone's prejudices against her disappear completely. In these 800 years, Han Qingwu had been living a life of peace. Apart from cultivating every day, she helped Tan Xiu with some things. It was only 16 years ago that she gave birth to her first child, Tang Song, who was also her only son. After that, she spent all her time raising her son. After a long time. Only then did Tan Xiu look at Tang Yen and said with a faint smile, Kid, you're quite insightful. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. Rumor has it that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul fled in the direction of the Endless Sea. Did you find out anything about him during your trip? Tang Yen nodded slowly and said, We did. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou has a disciple who lives in the depths of the Endless Sea. However, when we rushed to his disciple's place, it was already empty. I'm afraid that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and his disciple have already escaped from the Endless Sea. As for where they are now, we didn't find out. Tan Xiu's eyes flickered as he said slowly, as the saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place. Currently, the safest place in the entire immortal world is our great Tang Empire. However, our great Tang Empire is under the protection of the Shadow Department, and everyone's identity must be explained clearly. Therefore, it's very difficult for him to survive in the great Tang Empire. Therefore, the Endless Sea, which has been searched several times, should be the safest place for him. It seems like I'll have to go there myself. Tang Yen exclaimed, Father, you want to go to the Endless Sea yourself? You must know that it's a very dangerous place. Even though senior sister has broken through to the supremacy stage, she only dares to bring me to train in the periphery. If Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and his disciple hide in the depths of the Endless Sea, Tan Xiu interrupted him and said while shaking his head, I've been to the Endless Sea several times and have also entered its depths. I understand most of the dangers that lie within. In addition, I will bring 10 supremacy stage powerhouses with me to the Endless Sea. So, don't worry. Hearing this, Tang Yen immediately heaved a sigh of relief. With 10 supremacy stage powerhouses, even if they encountered great danger, it wouldn't be a problem for Father and the others. Father, I haven't been to the depths of the Endless Sea yet. Why don't you bring me along? Tan Xiu laughed involuntarily and said, You just came back from that damned place, yet you still want to go there? Don't tell me that the sea beasts there don't scare you? Tang Yen laughed dryly and said, I'm indeed a little scared. However, I'm still very curious about the depths of the Endless Sea. Originally, I planned to personally go to the depths of the Endless Sea when I broke through to the supremacy stage. Tan Xiu smiled and said, You need to walk your own path, and you need to achieve the goals you've set yourself. So, you should stay in the Imperial City and cultivate well. When you break through to the perfected golden immortal stage, you can go out to travel. Father, Tang Yen hurriedly cried. The corners of Tan Xiu's mouth curved into an arc, and his smile became wider and wider. He said, You've been used to having a smooth life since you were young, So I need to give you some pressure. Just treat the pressure as motivation. Cultivate well, and you might be able to break through to the perfected golden immortal stage within a few decades. Alright, if there's nothing else, you can go back and see your mother. Alright. Tang Nian left unwillingly. Tan Xiu sat on the Nine Dragons' throne, and his eyes flickered. The hatred from back then had not been completely cleansed. The person he hated the most, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, was still alive. More than a decade ago, news came back that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul was looking for the soul-dissolving liquid everywhere. Once he found it, he would be able to seize a body and be reborn without any negative effects. At most, his cultivation would not be as good as before. Tan Xiu called calmly. Swoosh, a lightning-fast figure instantly appeared in front of Tan Xiu. Feng Yang wore a respectful expression and asked, "Your Majesty, what are your orders?" Tan Xiu said lightly, "Contact Jin Shi and order their intelligence officers to spread the news throughout the immortal world that Venerable Feng Yang of the Endless Sea has the soul-dissolving liquid. Tomorrow, you will follow me to the Endless Sea." Feng Yang replied respectfully, "Yes." Tang Xiu looked at Feng Yang's departing figure and sneered inwardly. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's greatest weakness now was that he urgently wanted to find the soul condensation liquid and then seize Feng Yang's body. The reason why he hadn't obtained the soul-dissolving liquid for the past 800 years was that he had sent 4 Supremes to guard the entrance of Nifa's abyss. Once they found him, they would immediately kill him. He couldn't enter Nifa's abyss or sneak into the ghost realm, so he couldn't obtain the soul-dissolving liquid. Soon after, Tan Xiu appeared outside the palace where Han Qingwu lived. When he stepped through the gate, he saw Tang Song, who was only 16 years old, practicing his combat skills in the wide practice field. He was only a Mahayana stage cultivator now, but his combat skills in actual combat had been brought to the point of perfection. His ferocity contained killing intent, and it was vigorous yet didn't lose its agility. Tan Xiu appeared in front of Tang Song out of thin air and called out with a faint smile. Tang Song was very handsome, and his appearance was 60 to 70% similar to Tang Xiu's. Most importantly, his body proportions were extremely perfect. With a height of 1.85 meters, he was like a majestic god of war. "Father!" Tang Song stopped practicing and revealed a pleasantly surprised expression. Tan Xiu smiled. "How's your cultivation recently? Did you go out for a stroll?" Tang Song smiled. "My cultivation has been quite smooth. I recently went to the Red Lotus Immortal Domain with my mother and bought some things there." "Father, do you need monkey wine?" "I bought some very fragrant monkey wine from an old immortal. It tastes really good." Tan Xiu smiled. "Let me have a taste." Chapter 1386. At the edge of the misty spring ocean, a lone boat was drifting in the wind. 2 middle-aged men in ragged clothes were lying on the boat, their bodies riddled with scars. Beside the 2 middle-aged men was a young man covered in blood, but he was still conscious. He gritted his teeth and looked around. "Damn it. It's not worth it. If these 2 guys dare to lie to me, I'll cut off their little brothers and feed them to the dogs. I've crossed 19 immortal domains and fought countless times. I was almost killed a few times. This is the biggest gamble of my life. I can't lose it. Otherwise, my ancestral home, my vast farmland, and my countless beauties, the loss will be too great." The young man scratched his face a few times. When he realized that there was no danger around him, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. He forcefully pushed the unconscious middle-aged man beside him to the side, and then lay down on the boat, silently thinking about the things that were weighing on his mind. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. A group of lightning-fast figures came from afar. In just a few breaths, they had already appeared above the boat. The golden immortal captain, who was wearing a silver battle robe and holding a divine weapon, stared at the 3 people on the boat and asked, "Who are you? Why didn't you pass through the sea bridge? Why did you enter the forbidden ocean instead?" The young man crawled up and looked at the immortal standing in the sky. He said in fear and trepidation, "Sir, we didn't know this was the forbidden ocean." We were chased all the way here, and it wasn't easy for us to escape here. By the way, I'm 11 fingers from the Radiant Peak Immortal Domain. These two are my friends. The reason why I'm being hunted is because of them. I escorted them to the Great Tang Empire's Misty Spring Ocean in order to find His Majesty, the Emperor of the Great Tang Empire. They said that they used to be good friends with His Majesty. The Golden Immortal Captain had a strange look on his face. He hesitated for a moment and asked, "Are you sure they were once good friends of His Majesty? If you can vouch for them, I can treat them and send you to the Imperial City safely. But if you lie to me, I will kill you according to the laws of the Great Tang Empire as enemies who infiltrated the empire to spy on information." The young man was nervous. Although he was strong and had become a great Ascension Stage expert, his strength was not enough in front of these immortals. After experiencing a struggle in his heart, he finally gritted his teeth and said, "Although I can't guarantee that they didn't lie to me, I can vouch for them." The Golden Immortal Captain nodded and threw out 2 healing pills. "Give them the pills and we'll head to the Imperial City." An hour later, the Golden Immortal team leader brought the 3 of them to the entrance of the Imperial City. After saying a few words to his superior, he left. Wake up. The perfected Golden Immortal cast a secret technique to wake up the 2 unconscious middle-aged men. He looked at their blank eyes and shouted in a deep voice, "Who the hell are you? How dare you impersonate His Majesty's old friend? Don't you know that it's a capital offense to disturb the Emperor?" Miao Wenong looked around and suddenly asked, "Is this the Great Tang Empire's Imperial City?" The perfected Golden Immortal proudly replied, "Of course. Which city in the entire immortal world can compare to our Great Tang Empire's Imperial City?" Miao Wenong and Xiao Mingjun looked at each other and immediately burst into laughter. Miao Wenong hurriedly said, "Take me to see Tan Xiu." "How dare you!" The perfected Golden Immortal released a terrifying aura and directly imprisoned Miao Wenong and Xiao Mingjun. Then he shouted, "How dare you puny immortals call His Majesty's name? Just based on these words of yours, I can kill all of you immediately. I have a way to prove it." Miao Wenong couldn't move his body. He was terrified and afraid that this powerhouse would kill them directly. The perfected Golden Immortal raised his brows and asked, "What proof?" Miao Wenong hurriedly said, "I have a cell phone in my interspatial ring. Brother Tang and I. No, there's a photo of me and His Majesty in it. You can understand it as long as you take a look at it." The perfected Golden Immortal retracted his aura and said in a deep voice, "Take out the cell phone you said." Miao Wenong immediately took out the cell phone from his interspatial ring. When he found the photo of him and Tan Xiu, he handed it to the perfected Golden Immortal and said, This is the proof. When His Majesty was still on Earth, we had a friendship of life and death. He was the one who told us to find him after we ascended to the immortal world. He said that we can definitely find him." The perfected Golden Immortal was secretly shocked when he saw the photo. He hesitated for a moment and then said in a deep voice, "This matter is of great importance, so I need to report it to the higher-ups. Go to the Holy Temple and wait there. I'll personally take you there if His Majesty is willing to see you." All right. I'll have to trouble you, sir." Miao Wenong thought for a while and hurriedly took out 2 immortal crystals from his interspatial ring and stealthily stuffed them over. "What are you doing?" The perfected Golden Immortal stared blankly and immediately shouted angrily. Miao Wenong's expression froze. After a while, he let out a dry smile and said, "This is a token of our appreciation for you, sir. I hope you don't mind it." The perfected Golden Immortal's expression suddenly turned interesting. "Appreciation? Are they trying to bribe me? Just 2 immortal crystals are enough to bribe a perfected Golden Immortal like me." Miao Wenong looked at the perfected Golden Immortal's expression and thought that he thought it was too little. He immediately took out 4 immortal crystals from his interspatial ring and handed them over. Then, he said with a smile, "Sir, I only have these 6 immortal crystals. I hope you don't mind." The perfected Golden Immortal didn't take it. Instead, he said with a dumbfounded expression, "Are you trying to harm me?" The Great Tang Empire has an iron law that no official in office is allowed to accept bribes from others. Once found guilty, they will be expelled from the Great Tang Empire and beheaded according to the law. Ah, Miao Wenong was stunned and murmured, Tan Xiu actually brought the Earth's anti-corruption system to the immortal world. The perfected golden immortal glanced at Miao Wenong coldly and then rolled his sleeves and led the three into the imperial city. After walking for 2 hours, he brought the three to the holy temple. Inside the imperial palace, Tan Xiu was talking with his son, Tang Song. Suddenly, his expression changed and he asked without turning his head, "What's the matter?" "Your Majesty, there are a few outsiders who claim to be your friends." They also said. A late-stage perfected golden immortal came to Tan Xiu and said. But before he could finish his words, he looked as if he wanted to say something but hesitated. Tan Xiu frowned and said, "What else did they say?" The late-stage perfected golden immortal said, "They also said that they are your brothers from a certain place." Think they are called Earth? Tan Xiu's expression changed greatly. He turned around and asked in a deep voice, "What are their names?" Miao Wenong, Xiaomingzhen. The other one is a native of the immortal world who accompanied them, the perfected golden immortal said respectfully. Miao Wenong? Xiaomingzhen? Tan Xiu's eyes revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He never dreamed that these two would come to the immortal world so quickly, nor did he expect that they would be able to find this place. "Tell me, where are they?" "In front of the sacred palace." Tang Xiu reached out and grabbed Tang Song's arm. He laughed heartily and said, "Song, let me bring you to meet my two old friends." A few minutes later, Tan Xiu's figure appeared in the hall of the sacred palace. He looked at the busy people inside and asked in a deep voice, "Where are Miao Wenong and Xiaomingzhen?" In the side hall. The teenager looked at Miao Wenong and Xiaomingzhen anxiously and asked hurriedly, "You too answer me. Are you lying to me? Big brothers, I beg you, okay? If you are lying to me, the three of us will die." Miao Wenong said, "If the Great Tang Empire is the Great Tang Empire we know, and if the Emperor of the Great Tang Empire is called Tan Xiu, then there is no mistake. 11 fingers, don't you worry." The teenager 11 Fingers said angrily, "I also want to rest assured, but the two of you have a mysterious background and even lied to me to lead the way. What have we been through so far? If I didn't risk my life to save you, the two of you would have died a few hundred times already." Miao Wenong and Xiaomingzhen looked at each other as a smile climbed up their faces. They had arrived at the celestial world 3 years ago, but as soon as they arrived, they encountered trouble. All of their belongings were stolen, and the two of them were severely injured. In order to obtain immortal stones and crystals in the immortal world, they thought of many ways and finally obtained some wealth. However, they had unintentionally offended a hedonistic son of a rich family. All they did was severely injure him, and he sent people to chase after them. As a result, they had to fight and flee. In the past 3 years, they had killed hundreds of people, and they had almost died many times. As for 11 Fingers, he was the guy they lied to during their escape and was willing to gamble with them. Miao Wenong hesitated and said, "Brother Xiao, what if we make a mistake? Won't it be troublesome?" Xiaomingzhen smiled bitterly, "It will be troublesome indeed. The Great Tang Empire is the largest immortal empire in the immortal world. No other forces can compare to it. If we offend the Emperor of the Great Tang Empire, I'm afraid only death awaits us." Miao Wenong was silent for a while, then gritted his teeth and said, "I don't believe that we will make a mistake. It's not like you don't know Brother Tang's abilities. Whether he is on Earth or in the immortal world, he can definitely make a name for himself. Maybe this Great Tang Empire is the Great Tang Empire from Earth. My parents gave birth to me, but Brother Miao knows me best." As the door to the side hall opened, Tan Xiu's hearty laughter came in. In the next moment, Tan Xiu, who was wearing a dragon robe, appeared in front of them. Quiet Night has updated her WeChat account with Tang Xiu's handsome photos. He's definitely 10,000 times more handsome than Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and Zither Demon Jiuyao. Brothers and sisters who like Tang Xiu, quickly follow Quiet Night's WeChat account. Quiet Night's WeChat account is JYJS00 or you can directly search for Quiet Night's thoughts on the WeChat account. Chapter 1387. Greetings, Your Majesty. When the officials of the Great Tang Empire heard that Tan Xiu had arrived, they all rushed over. As soon as Tan Xiu stepped into the side hall, they followed him and kneeled down to greet him. Tan Xiu raised his eyebrows and waved his hand. I'm here to see my two friends. You guys can go back to your own business. Also, the person who brought my two brothers here will be rewarded handsomely. The officials replied in unison and left. Tan Xiu looked at Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin, opened his arms and smiled. My two brothers, I didn't expect you to ascend to immortality so quickly. The immortal world welcomes you. The Great Tang Empire welcomes you. A good brother. Although Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin were shocked by the scene just now, when they heard Tan Xiu's words and saw the familiar faces, they laughed and hugged each other. At the side, 11 Fingers was dumbfounded as he looked at the three of them. He was grateful that he felt a little dizzy. How could he not recognize that the person in front of him was the famous Great Tang Heavenly Emperor of the immortal world? How could he not recognize that he was once the supreme of the immortal world, Star Cultivation Great Emperor? However, what made him excited was that he could clearly feel that the high and mighty Great Tang Heavenly Emperor had deep feelings for his two friends who had risked everything to help him. Otherwise, with the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor's status, how could he come here personally? How could he show an excited expression? We're rich. 11 Fingers was extremely excited. He knew that he had made the right choice by risking everything. After the three of them separated, Miao Wentong said excitedly, Brother Tang? No, I should call you Your Majesty. When we first came to the immortal world, we heard of your name. Amazing, truly amazing. Xiao Mingjin also said excitedly, Yes. You just came to the immortal world not long ago, but you've already become the emperor of the strongest empire in the immortal world. We've risked our lives countless times to finally come to the Great Tang Empire and meet you. Tan Xiu grinned. Not long ago? Brother Xiao really knows how to joke. More than 1,000 years have passed since I returned to the immortal world. However, there was a difference between the time in the immortal world and Earth. A year on Earth should be about 100 years in the immortal world. Alright, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go, I'll bring you to the Imperial Palace. From now on, you two brothers can follow me and live a good life. Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin heavily nodded. Both of them had already deeply understood the cruelty of the immortal world. They would not let go of such a good opportunity to hug someone's thigh. This is? Tan Xiu noticed 11 Fingers and asked curiously. With a face full of respect, 11 Fingers knelt in front of Tan Xiu and said, I am 11 Fingers, a friend of Brother Miao and Brother Xiao. Miao Wentong said, Your Majesty, don't call me Your Majesty, Your Majesty, Tan Xiu hurriedly said. I've long been tired of those people calling me that. Just like on Earth, you can directly call me Brother Tang, and I'll still call you elder brothers. Miao Wentong felt warmth in his heart and nodded with a smile. Brother Tang, we got to know this 11 Fingers when we were being chased in the immortal world. At that time, he helped us, so we asked him to bring us to the Great Tang Empire. In these 3 years, we have experienced countless battles and almost died in the hands of our enemies. If it wasn't for 11 Fingers, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to come to the Great Tang Empire. Tan Xiu nodded silently and looked at 11 Fingers deeply. He took out a spatial ring and threw it to him. This is your reward and also my thanks to you. Since you saved my two brothers, you are a friend of the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. Tell me, I can fulfill one of your requests. 11 Fingers took the spatial ring and didn't bother to check the treasures inside. He quickly thought of something and said, Thank you, Your Majesty. I want to stay by the side of my two brothers. Tan Xiu laughed involuntarily. You're quite smart. Forget it. Since you want to reach the heavens in a single step, I will let you reach the heavens in a single step. From today onwards, you will work by the side of my two brothers. You won't be lacking in benefits. Thank you, Your Majesty. 11 Fingers was excited and knelt on the ground again. Tan Xiu smiled. Brother Miao, Brother Xiao, let's go. Once you have settled down, you can come back here to look for this kid. All right. Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjun looked at 11 fingers and felt the world spin. When they regained their vision, they found themselves in a palace. The interior of the palace was dazzling and magnificent. Even compared to the ancient castles in Europe, it was 100 times more magnificent. Tan Xiu shouted. Then, a figure appeared out of nowhere. Tan Xiu said loudly, "Tell the imperial chef to send me the best dishes. I want to treat my 2 friends who have come from afar." Tang Xiu led Miao Wenong and Xiao Mingjun to the dining room and took a seat. Then Tang Xiu asked with a smile, "You 2 old brothers have been working hard all the way here. I should let you have a good rest first. But I'm very excited to see you again. So, I'll first drag the 2 of you to drink to your heart's content and chat." Miao Wentong sighed. "Brother Tang, I'll say something from the bottom of my heart. It's all because of you that we can achieve what we have today. In our hearts, you are not only our friend and brother, but also our guide on the road of life. Seeing you again and realizing that you don't look down on us because of the difference in status and strength, this makes me even more convinced that it was a wise and lucky decision to become brothers with you." Tan Xiu smiled. "Brother Miao, don't say such sentimental words to me. Back when I was on Earth, you guys helped me too much. To be honest, if it wasn't for your help, I'm afraid it wouldn't have been easy for me to develop. So, we are a family, so let's not talk nonsense. Since you 2 have come to the immortal world, stay in the Great Tang Empire. If you 2 are willing to become officials, I will arrange a high-ranking official for you and arrange a group of experts to protect you. If you want to cultivate in peace, all kinds of cultivation resources, all kinds of divine weapons, all kinds of things that you want, you can use them for yourself. In short, the Great Tang Empire will be your home." That's right. I'll arrange 2 palaces for you in the Imperial City." Miao Wenong and Xiao Mingjun looked at each other. The tears in their eyes quickly appeared and quickly disappeared. They looked deeply at Tang Xiu as Miao Wenong said, "Brother Tang, we'll listen to your arrangement." Tan Xiu smiled and asked, "Brother Miao, Brother Xiao, 1,000 years in the immortal world is only a dozen years on Earth, right? I remember that your cultivation was still very low when you left Earth. How did you break through to the immortal stage so quickly?" Miao Wentong sighed. "It's all thanks to the things you left us, and Long Zhengyu's help. In addition, we also found a paradise on Earth. There are a total of 3 elixirs inside. We couldn't recognize what kind of pills they were, but they smelled very fragrant, so we guessed that they were good stuff and swallowed 2 of them. As a result, our cultivation soared." That's right. We also left one for Long Zhengyu. I'm afraid he will soon reach the crossing tribulation stage and ascend to the immortal world." Tan Xiu looked surprised and asked, "What was the situation on Earth before you came to the immortal world?" Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjun glanced at each other. Immediately after, both of them forced a wry smile and said, "We had a falling out with the people from the State Special Abilities Bureau. Duanmu Lin couldn't suppress some of his subordinates whose strength kept increasing, so he was disheartened and resigned from his position. He then entered the pocket world controlled by Long Zhengyu to concentrate on his cultivation. We had many conflicts with the people from the Special Abilities Bureau in the past 10 years. The most serious one was a fierce fight. If it wasn't for a powerful old man, I'm afraid those brats would have died." A chilling light flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes as he sneered. "Duanmu Lin lost the opportunity to come to the immortal world with me because of his foolish loyalty. I gave those brothers to him, but I didn't expect that he wouldn't take good care of me. However, it's a good thing that he resigned from the Special Abilities Bureau. How are Long Zhengyu and the rest now? How is the Magnificent Tang Corporation now?" The Magnificent Tang Corporation has become the world's largest corporation, but the state has issued a new policy that forbids anyone from the company from having any contact with the political world. Cultivators are also not allowed to serve in the government. Long Zhengyu and the other brats have now become famous and powerful figures on Earth, and each of them has developed very well. Tan Xiu nodded with satisfaction and said, "I've left them a lot of things on Earth. If they have good aptitude and can ascend to the immortal world, I've laid a foundation here so that they can still enjoy an endless life after they come to the immortal world. Miao Wentong nodded with a smile. Suddenly, he seemed to recall something and the smile on his face quickly faded away. Not all of those brats have developed very well. One of them is very miserable now. Who is it? Tan Xiu stared blankly and hurriedly asked. Ji Mu, answered Miao Wentong. What happened to him? Asked Tan Xiu. He's crazy, answered Miao Wentong. What happened? Asked Tan Xiu hurriedly. It's impossible for someone with Ji Mu's mind to go crazy unless he encountered a catastrophe. Ji Mu's daughter was harmed by someone from the Special Abilities Bureau. Miao Wentong forced a wry smile. Ji Mu was impulsive and went all out to fight the other party, but he was seriously injured. His wife committed suicide after her daughter was harmed, and her husband was seriously injured. I don't know where she got some high explosives, but she directly found the residence of that ability user and perished together with him. Ji Mu was seriously injured and suffered a double blow, so he went crazy. He disappeared 2 years before we ascended. We couldn't find any trace of him no matter how hard we tried. Chapter 1388. A cold light flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes as he sneered. You should remember those people from the Special Abilities Bureau, right? I hope they don't ascend to the immortal world. Otherwise, if you meet them in the future, just kill them. Xiao Mingjin said, those ability users from the Special Abilities Bureau are almost all dead now. Long Zhengyu is so ruthless that he has secretly taken control of the entire country. You did it? Tan Xiu asked. That's right. We did it. We chose the Special Abilities Bureau's HQ as our place of ascension. Those arrogant and unruly guys all died in our immortal tribulation. Tan Xiu gave a thumbs up and praised, well done. At this time, Tang Song, who had been following Tan Xiu without saying a word, suddenly said, My 2 uncles, you're really amazing. Tan Xiu turned to look at Tang Song and seemed to wake up from a dream. He patted his head and laughed. Look at me. I forgot about this kid when I saw my 2 brothers. Let me introduce you. This is my son, Tang Song. Tang Song, greet them. Tang Song smiled. Uncle Miao, Uncle Xiao. Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin didn't expect that Tan Xiu's son had grown up so much. They stood up and looked at each other before taking out an item from their interspatial rings. Tang Song, your Uncle Miao is very poor, so I'll give you this as a greeting gift. Please don't dislike it. Xiao Mingjin smiled. I'm also poor, but a greeting gift can't be lacking. Thank you, Uncle Miao, Uncle Xiao. Tang Song smiled and took the 2 items. Although he didn't lack anything, it was still the goodwill of the elders. Tan Xiu's eyes fell on the 2 items and immediately stretched out his hand. Let me see these 2 items. After a while, he took a red bead and a blue bead in his hand and carefully observed them for a long time before sighing. 2 Zi beads. One represents destruction, and the other represents creation. These 2 heavenly pearls are rare treasures even in the immortal world. Miao Wentong smiled and said, We don't know what this thing is, but it's the only thing we can take out now. Tan Xiu laughed loudly and said, Brother Miao, I have dozens of children. What? Miao Wenning and Xiao Mingjin looked at each other, and both of them laughed hollowly again and again. Tan Xiu handed the 2 divine jewels to Tang Song and said, Absorb these 2 divine jewels into your body at the same time, one for destruction and one for creation. I hope that in the future, you will be able to understand their profound meaning and completely control them. As long as you can do this, your future achievements won't be any worse than mine. Tang Song nodded lightly. A few days later, Tan Xiu had already ordered people to prepare 2 palaces for Miao Wentong and Xiao Mingjin's residences, as well as a lot of servants. He even took out 20 million immortal crystals and gave each of them 10 million for their expenses. Of course, some elixirs, cultivation books, divine weapons and other items, Tan Xiu also gave a lot of them. Soon after, he brought along 10 supreme masters and embarked on a journey to the Endless Sea. At the same time, the intelligence system of the Shadow Division was in full operation. A large number of intelligence personnel entered the Endless Sea and the periphery of the Endless Sea, closely monitoring the situation there. The Endless Sea. It was not a turbulent sea, but a zone formed by countless meteorites in the void. Pieces of land could be seen everywhere, some large and some small. The meteorites would hit these pieces of land from time to time, causing them to explode. However, the meteorites in the periphery were very small, and the risk factor was very low. However, the meteorites in the inner part of the Endless Sea were very large, and the land was also much larger. In the depths of the Endless Sea, there was even a land comparable to a small immortal domain. Energy tide. If it was in the starry sky, it might be a death warrant for countless immortals. But in the Endless Sea, the energy tide was the protective umbrella of the land. Whichever land was enveloped by the energy tide would not be hit by the meteorites, thus forming a safe zone. There was a large number of heavenly treasures and wealth. These wealth were mainly left behind by the immortals who came here to adventure after falling here. Over time, more and more people came here, and more people died. Finally, it became a paradise for adventurers. We're here. Tan Xiao was accompanied by Seaway Monarch and the Nether Sea Whale King, while the other 8 Supreme Masters were all in the heavenly abode. The Nether Sea Whale King looked around and said, "Your Majesty, are we going directly to the depths of the Endless Sea? Or should we search the periphery first? Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is very cunning. I can't guess his methods." Tan Xiao slowly said, "Unless he can enter the land protected by the energy tide in the depths of the Endless Sea, he won't be able to enter the depths." Shade Demon Zhu Wushou used to be a Supreme and a late-stage Supreme, so he could come and go as he pleased in the Endless Sea. But now, he only has an immortal soul left, and his strength is only comparable to a celestial immortal at best. If he rashly enters the Endless Sea, he might die at any time. With his cautious nature, I'm afraid he won't take risks easily. The Nether Sea Whale King said, "Your Majesty, you mean that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou won't enter the depths of the Endless Sea? We only need to search the periphery?" Tan Xiao shook his head and said, "It's the opposite. With Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's intelligence, I'm afraid he can think of anything we can think of. Besides, doesn't he have a perfected golden immortal disciple by his side? With the protection of that perfected golden immortal disciple, it will be very easy for him to enter the Endless Sea. Therefore, as long as he receives the news that I've sent people ahead of time, he will probably enter the Endless Sea to search." Seaway Monarch slowly nodded and said, "I think Your Majesty's words are very reasonable. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is crafty and cunning, and he's good at scheming against others. If he wants to obtain the soul condensation liquid, I'm afraid he will have to take the risk and enter the depths of the Endless Sea. I've been here before, so I know that there are some lands that are protected by energy waves. We can search from the deepest part of the Endless Sea. Who knows, we might be able to easily find traces of him." Tan Xiao smiled and said, "Relying on us to search is no different from looking for a needle in a haystack. The entire Endless Sea is simply too big. Even if more than a dozen large immortal domains were added together, I'm afraid it wouldn't be as big as the Endless Sea. Therefore, we still need to make some arrangements. Even if we don't take the initiative to search for him, we can still make him take the initiative to find us." Seaway Monarch hurriedly asked, "Your Majesty, do you have any ideas?" Tan Xiao nodded and said, "On the way here, I've already thought of a plan." Seaway Monarch, there is an expert in the Endless Sea known as the Tidal Empress. Since you've been here before, you should have heard of this Tidal Empress, right? Seaway Monarch's expression changed slightly, and he smiled bitterly. "Your Majesty, not only have I heard of the Tidal Empress, but I've also interacted with her before. This woman is vicious and merciless. Anyone who dares to offend her will be hunted down by her as long as they're still in the Endless Sea. Her innate divine ability is very suitable for fighting in the Endless Sea. Therefore, even a late-stage supremacy stage expert would find it extremely difficult to kill her in the Endless Sea." Tan Xiao was surprised. "You've interacted with her before? Tell me about it." Seaway Monarch said, "Back then, in order to catch a flying fish, I barged into a land protected by energy waves. There were countless immortal beasts on that land. These immortal beasts were very docile, just like pets. After I barged in, I met the Tidal Empress. I was very lucky. At that time, the Tidal Empress was in urgent need of immortal crystals and crystal essences, so she asked me for them. I gave them to her, so she didn't kill me. Tan Xiu asked, "That land is where the Tidal Empress lives?" Seaway Monarch shook his head. "I'm not sure." Tan Xiu took a deep breath and nodded. "Regardless of whether it's where the Tidal Empress lives or not, we have to find her. The Tidal Empress has an innate divine ability that allows her to control energy waves. She can also use the energy waves to search for the aura of all nearby life forms. If Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is in the Endless Sea, the Tidal Empress will be able to find him very quickly." Seaway Monarch was shocked. "You mean to ask the Tidal Empress for help? Is that possible? I know that woman very well. She's cold to the extreme." Tan Xiu said indifferently, "If I'm willing to take out a drop of god blood and ask for her help, do you think she'll agree?" Seaway Monarch's eyes lit up. He immediately nodded. "I think she'll definitely agree. The blood of a god is very beneficial even to a supremacy stage expert." Tan Xiu said, "Let's go. We'll go find her." Deep in the Endless Sea. It was a huge piece of land that was enveloped by the energy tide. After searching for 4 years, Tang Xiu's group finally found this piece of land. When they passed through the energy waves and entered the land, they saw tens of thousands of immortal beasts living leisurely here. The scenery was picturesque, with mountains, rivers, and lakes. Tan Xiu looked around and didn't see any immortals. He immediately shouted, "Tidal Empress, please come out." Scram! An angry voice came from the bottom of a huge mountain. Tan Xiu instantly locked onto the mountain and flew to the foot of the mountain with Seaway Monarch and the Nether Sea Whale King. He said in a deep voice, "Tidal Empress, I'm the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor of the Great Tang Empire. I've long heard of the Tidal Empress name, but it's a pity that I've never had the chance to meet you. This time, I'm here to make a deal with you. I believe this deal will be of great benefit to both you and me." The cold voice once again came rolling over. Tan Xiu sneered. "God's blood. I have a drop of God's blood with me. As long as you haven't crossed the divinity tribulation, I'm afraid you'll need it." "God's blood? You have God's blood?" A few months ago, a cute, beautiful fan asked Silent Night what Tan Xiu's palace in the immortal world looked like. Silent Night replied that it was very, very beautiful, and that Tan Xiu's palace was as beautiful as her dream. However, Cute Night insisted that I describe it. It was obviously a beautiful scene that couldn't be described. Fortunately, an illustrator helped me solve this problem. If you want to see a beautiful picture of Tan Xiu's palace, quickly follow Silent Night's WeChat account. Silent Night's WeChat account is JYJS00, or search for Silent Night's thoughts on WeChat. Chapter 1389. A hazy figure instantly appeared in front of the trio. Her speed was so fast that even the current Tang Xiu felt ashamed of his inferiority. Tan Xiu looked at the black-robed woman in front of him and instantly guessed that she was the Tidal Empress of the Endless Sea. She was also a Supreme Being powerhouse. Smiling, Tan Xiu said, "I do have god blood, and I have more than one drop. Let's make a deal. It's mutually beneficial." The Tidal Empress looked coldly at Tan Xiu and asked, "What deal?" Tan Xiu said calmly, "Help me find Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul, and I will give you a drop of god blood. This can be considered a fair deal between us." The Tidal Empress thought about it and asked, "Is that all?" Tan Xiu smiled and said, "That's all. It's very easy, isn't it?" The Tidal Empress nodded and said, "It is indeed very easy. It's as easy as blowing off dust. Because I know where Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is right now." Tan Xiu immediately asked, "Where is he?" The Tidal Empress hooked her finger and said, "Give me the god blood first." Tan Xiu took out a jade bottle from his spatial ring and threw it to the Tidal Empress. "There is a drop of god blood inside." A look of excitement appeared in the Tidal Empress' eyes. After she verified the authenticity of the god blood, she slowly raised her head to look at Tang Xiu and asked, "You were the one who brought out the corpse of that god from the Nifa's abyss, right? Back then, I spent a lot of effort but failed. I didn't even get a single drop of god blood." Tan Xiu nodded and said, "You're right. It is indeed with me." The title empress said, "If you want me to tell you where Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is, you have to give me one more thing besides a drop of god blood. If you give it to me, I guarantee that Shade Demon Zhu Wushou will appear in front of you soon. But if you don't agree, our deal is off. You can search my endless sea with your own abilities." Tan Xiu said, "What else do you want?" The title empress said, "I need a divine eye." Tan Xiu directly shook his head and said, "Impossible. You are well aware of the value of the divine eye. Over the years, aside from the god blood I obtained from the god corpse, I didn't touch the other parts of him. So, change the condition, or I can cancel the deal with you." The title empress revealed a smile and said, "Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, I've heard of your name before. You're the emperor of the great Tang Empire that holds the most authority in the entire immortal world. It's rumored that you have countless supreme being experts by your side. I wonder if it's true?" Tan Xiu smiled faintly and immediately summoned the other 8 supremes from the Heavenly Abode artifact. Then he smiled faintly and said, "It's an exaggeration to say that there are too many of them to count. However, my great Tang Empire still has more than 100 supremes." Title Empress, you should know very well that if the 11 of us supremes of the immortal world were to attack you at the same time, even if this is your home field, it would be difficult for you to survive, right? As for me, I'm not forcing you. Instead, I'm here to make a fair deal with you. I hope that you can put away your arrogance and cooperate with me happily." The title empress revealed a vigilant look in her eyes. Her gaze slowly swept across everyone, and when it landed on Seaway Monarch, it paused for a moment. Then she looked at Tan Xiu and said, "All right, I'll tell you where Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is. All of you follow me." Tan Xiu narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect the title empress to compromise so easily. This ease made him secretly wary. At the same time, he transmitted a message to the people around him, telling them to be more vigilant. After traveling for half a day, a glint flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. This was because he had been here before. The most interesting thing was that he had set up an ambush here and killed the Supreme and 2 perfected golden immortals. Spatial Maelstrom. It was a very interesting place, and it was a good place to kill and rob. Title Empress, the environment here is very special. I didn't think that there would be such a place in the immortal realm, Tan Xiu said with a smile. Killing intent surged in the title empress' heart, but she maintained a calm expression on her face. She said, "This is called the spatial maelstrom. Compared to the dangers in the endless sea, this is the safest place. Don't be fooled by the terrifying aura of the clouds. There is no danger within. I've lived in the endless sea for so long, and I know most of the places here like the back of my hand." The safest place? There was no danger? Tan Xiu sneered inwardly. He was already certain that there was something wrong with this plagiarism empress. This spatial maelstrom had once been the nightmare of countless perfected golden immortals. Even supreme powerhouses would face the danger of dying if they came here. But now, the plagiarism empress was saying that there was no danger. She was treating him like a 3-year-old. With an expert like you, title empress, who is familiar with this place, we naturally don't need to worry about our safety. However, where is Shade Demon Zhu Wushou? Is he hiding here? Tan Xiu didn't expose the title empress. Instead, he asked with a warm smile. The title empress pointed at the largest cloud layer in the distance and said, "Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is hiding there. I was the one who arranged for him to stay there. I was willing to help him because he gave me some benefits. However, compared to a drop of god blood, the benefits he gave me are simply trash." Tan Xiu thought about it and smiled. What the title empress said is correct. How much god blood is there in the god realm? It's as rare as a phoenix feather or a qilin horn. Although I don't have a lot of god blood on hand, it should be enough to supply 800 people. I've thought it through. As long as I can get rid of Shade Demon Zhu Wushou, I'm willing to pay a greater price. Therefore, I'll give you another drop of god blood after we kill Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. Also, I'll promise you a condition. If the title Empress wishes to pledge allegiance to the Great Tang Empire in the future, the doors of the Great Tang Empire will always be open to you. I'll also be happy to accept a powerhouse like you. The title Empress smiled and said, "Thank you, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor. If I have such a plan in the future, I'll definitely rush to the Great Tang Empire immediately. Now, I'll take you to find Shade Demon Zhu Wushou first and then help you get rid of him. After that, I'll focus on absorbing the god blood's energy and meditate for a few hundred years." "I respect your decision," said Tang Xiu with a smile. As they conversed, the group arrived outside the largest cloud layer. The title Empress didn't hesitate and flew straight inside, quickly disappearing into the cloud layer. "All of you, be on your guard. I've been here before, and it's not as safe as the title Empress said. Instead, it's filled with danger. Even a supremacy stage powerhouse might lose their life if they're not careful. Seaway Monarch, stay by my side. Golden-eyed Great Peng and Nether Sea Whale King, stay outside. If there's any danger inside, attack the cloud layer directly. Everyone else, enter the Heavenly Abode artifact." "Yes." Everyone cupped their fists. A moment later, Tan Xiu and Seaway Monarch followed behind the title Empress and entered the vortex space. What appeared in front of them was a boundless ocean. However, the ocean's water wasn't an ordinary blue, but a boundless black. "Weak water?" Seaway Monarch's divine sense swept across the water and he couldn't help but gasp. A cold glint flashed in Tan Xiu's eyes. He looked at the title Empress who had stopped 10,000 meters away and smiled. "This is all seawater, and it's the weak water of the ghost realm. This is definitely harmful to Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul. Could it be that he didn't care about his life and hid here?" The title Empress laughed out loud. "Hiding here? My senior brother isn't an idiot, so he wouldn't hide here. On the other hand, you, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, aren't as wise as my senior brother said. In my opinion, you're the idiot who actually dared to follow me into this vortex space." Tan Xiu smiled. "Why do you say that?" The title Empress narrowed her eyes and said disdainfully, "Tell your subordinates to come out from the Heavenly Abode artifact. If they don't come out, only death awaits them. This is a vortex space, one of the most dangerous places in the immortal world. Even a Supreme Being expert would have a high chance of dying in the process. Moreover, this is the place I've specially arranged for you to be buried." Tan Xiu nodded. "You're right. The Endless Seas vortex space is indeed one of the most dangerous places in the immortal world. I've come here before and killed a Supreme and 2 perfected Golden Immortals. When I first came here, I was actually just a perfected Golden Immortal." The title Empress was taken aback. Her expression changed as she shouted, "Since you know that I'm lying to you, you still dare to follow me in?" Tan Xiu smiled. "Of course I dare. You're not the only one who is familiar with this place. I'm too. It's just that I didn't expect you to be Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's junior sister. It seems like we didn't kill them all back then. The remnants of the ghost sect deserve to die. So, tell your people to come out. I want to see what kind of formation you've set up here. You actually dare to say that you can kill all 11 of us Supremes." The title Empress narrowed her eyes and sneered. Arrogant and conceited. "Since you want to know, I'll fulfill your wish. Elders of the ghost sect, please come out and help me." Whoosh, 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 whoosh. 16 figures shot out from all directions and surrounded Tan Xiu and Seaway Monarch in the blink of an eye. The 16 of them emitted an aura that was even stronger than a late-stage perfected Golden Immortal. They were even comparable to an early-stage Supremes. They're not Supremes. Fallen Immortals? A strange look appeared in Tan Xiu's eyes. He swept his gaze across the 16 fallen immortals and discovered that only 2 of them were familiar faces. The other 14 were all unfamiliar faces. Moreover, the auras they emitted were slightly stronger than the other 2. Tomorrow is the grand finale. Brothers and sisters, do you have the heart to not cast your monthly votes? Chapter 1390. Tan Xiu turned to look at the tidal empress and sighed. 16 fallen immortals. I didn't expect your ghost sect to have such a deep foundation. Unable to become a supremacy, they face the end of their lifespans and fall into a long slumber. When the sect encounters a great crisis, they will be summoned to help the sect. They are stronger than perfected golden immortals, but weaker than supremacies. Interesting, very interesting. It seems like your ghost sect is truly vicious. You even want to squeeze out this bit of strength from your ancestors. The tidal empress sneered. This isn't vicious. We live for the sect and we die for the sect. For the sake of the sect's glory, what's this little sacrifice? Tan Xiu gave a thumbs up and praised. It's impossible for these 16 fallen immortals to kill all of us. So, show your trump cards. Otherwise, you'll become a laughingstock. Is that so? Two figures shot over like lightning from afar. In the blink of an eye, they appeared in front of the tidal empress. The two of them were dressed in black robes, and their entire bodies were shrouded within them. They wore masks on their faces as well, and the aura emanating from their bodies was that of a supreme state being. Tan Xiu's expression changed slightly. I didn't expect the ghost sect to have so many survivors. There are actually 2 supremacies hiding. Including the tidal empress, your ghost sect actually has 3 supremacies. With this strength, it's indeed possible to kill all of us. The tidal empress sneered. Do you really think this is all we have left? As her voice faded, the boundless sea surged with monstrous waves millions of kilometers away. Layers of weak water formed a water curtain, shrouding the entire space. Ancient golden runes constantly flickered in and out of the sea. Golden Sovereign Bell? Tan Xiu's pupils shrank. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He had seen the Golden Sovereign Bell before. That was when he had just broken through to immortal ascension. At that time, the Golden Sovereign Bell was in the hands of a supremacy from the celestial world. That supremacy was definitely not an enemy of the ghost sect. Most importantly, more than 6,000 years ago, that supremacy disappeared without a trace, and no one in the immortal world had seen him again. From the looks of it, he had most likely died at the hands of the ghost sect. Golden King Bell. It was ranked 9th among the 10 great divine artifacts of the immortal world. Any immortal sect that obtained the Golden King Bell would be able to increase the power of the sect's defensive array. Now, the remnants of the ghost sect actually used the Golden Sovereign Bell to set up a formation here. The power of that formation would most likely exceed his imagination. Tan Xiu took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice, "Tell me, where is Shade Demon Zhu Wushou?" The tidal empress laughed out loud. "My senior brother isn't in this spatial vortex. He's somewhere safe outside. Unfortunately, you won't have the chance to find him anymore. Once we get rid of you, our ghost sect will infiltrate the Great Tang Empire and gain the trust of the Great Tang Empire's upper echelons. Then, we will disintegrate from within and completely destroy the Great Tang Empire. Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, you have a lot of family and friends. I hope that they can live longer." Murderous intent surged in Tan Xiu's eyes. He summoned the other 7 supremes from the heavenly abode and tried to send a voice transmission to the golden-eyed Great Pang and the Nether Sea Whale King. However, it all ended in failure. Even the message talisman lost its effect as it was blocked by the Golden Sovereign Bell's formation. The tidal empress giggled. "Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, are you disappointed? You can't contact the 2 you left outside?" "That's right. If you could contact them and have them attack the cloud vortex from the outside, it wouldn't be difficult to break this spatial vortex and make the formation we've set up lose its effect. Unfortunately, you can't contact them, so you can only die first. Then we'll go and kill the 2 of them." Tan Xiu narrowed his eyes. He had placed a special immortal soul energy in the bodies of the golden-eyed Great Pang and the Nether Sea Whale King before. Thus, he directly used that strand of immortal soul energy to communicate with the 2 of them. In just a short moment, he successfully transmitted the words he wanted to say into their immortal souls. "Kill them." Tan Xiu revealed a sinister smile and instantly pounced toward the tidal empress and the 2 supremes of the ghost sect. Kill. The tidal empress and the 2 supremes were also ruthless characters. In addition to the 16 fallen immortals controlling the formation, they ruthlessly charged toward Tan Xiu's group of 8. It was a battle between powerhouses. It was tragic and cruel. After the time it took for 2 incense sticks to burn, the spatial vortex suddenly shook. Tan Xiu and the others, who were originally at a disadvantage, suddenly revealed looks of ecstasy. Rumble, a terrifying explosion started from the formation in the distance. The 16 fallen immortals suffered a backlash and were sent flying backward while coughing up blood. They had lost the threat of the formation and the attacks of the 16 fallen immortals. Tan Xiu and the 8 supremes rushed out of the collapsing cloud vortex. In just a few breaths, the 9 of them had already appeared outside. After meeting up with the golden-eyed Great Pang and the Nether Sea Whale King, the 11 of them watched as the 19 enemies rushed out. Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, how did you do it? The title Empress roared angrily with a face full of unwillingness. Tan Xiu sneered. My methods are not something you can understand. Since we've already escaped from your trap, let's have a fair and square fight. I'll let you see what I'm capable of. In an instant, the Rainbow Phantasmagoria realm was displayed by Tan Xiu. While the 19 enemies were in a trance, Tan Xiu and the 10 Supremes instantly pounced toward them. Puff! The fallen immortals were killed and severely injured. Even the title Empress had one of her arms chopped off by the 2 Supremes. After the effect of the Rainbow Phantasmagoria realm lost its effect, everyone attacked in a frenzy. Their methods were very powerful, especially after refining a large amount of god blood. Their strength had increased by leaps and bounds, so they were able to kill the 2 black-robed Supremes and the 16 fallen immortals in just half a day. Title Empress, tell me where Shade Demon Zhu Wushou is. Else, I'll scatter your soul today. Tang Xiu shouted fiercely. The title Empress was already riddled with wounds at this moment. She was so heavily injured that it was difficult for her to continue fighting. Hearing Tan Xiu's shout, a resolute look appeared in her eyes and she roared, Great Tang Heavenly Emperor, my senior brother is a peerless genius. Even if his immortal body has been destroyed and only his immortal soul is left, he will soon get what he wants. However, he will soon get what he wants. Once he cultivates to the supremacy stage again, your great Tang Empire will be annihilated and your souls will scatter into nothingness. Just you wait. Just you wait. Boom. As soon as her voice fell, her immortal soul chose to self-destruct. Tang Xiu and the 10 Supreme Being experts all retreated rapidly, barely withstanding the energy of the impact. All of them had already suffered quite serious injuries. Find him. Even if we have to turn the entire endless sea upside down, we must find Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. Keeping him alive is no different from nurturing a tiger. We must cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Tang Xiu shouted in a deep voice. Yes. Everyone agreed. However, after the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, everyone revealed a surprised look. This was because they had keenly sensed the fluctuations of a battle 100,000 kilometers away from them. Let's go! Tan Xiu didn't hesitate and led everyone in that direction. Shade Demon Zhu Wushou? Jiqime? Tang Xiu's pupils contracted. When he clearly saw the 2 groups of people fighting each other, a look of ecstasy immediately appeared on his face. After he led the great Tang Empire's army to the immortal world from Earth, he had been sending people to inquire about Jiqime's whereabouts. However, it was like a stone sinking into the sea, and he couldn't find her no matter how hard he tried. He didn't expect to meet her here today. Moreover, she even led people to fight against Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and 4 other perfected golden immortals. Kill Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and his people. Tan Xiu instantly rushed to Jiqime's side and helped her block the attack of a perfected golden immortal. Your Majesty! Jiqime immediately looked excited upon seeing Tan Xiu's arrival. She had brought dozens of her clansmen with her, but she didn't expect that His Majesty, Tan Xiu, would rush over with so many supremacy stage powerhouses at this critical moment. Tan Xiu didn't participate in the battle. He patted Jiqime's shoulder and shot a drop of god blood into her mouth. Then, he said in a deep voice, refine this drop of god blood first. If you have anything to say, wait until we get rid of them. Understood. Ji Qimei retreated tens of thousands of miles and sat cross-legged on a piece of land to cultivate. A faint smile hung on Tan Xiu's handsome face. When he saw Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's expression drastically change, he sneered and said, "Don't even think about escaping. You can't escape from the hands of us 11 supremacy stage powerhouses. Zhu Wushou, you're dead today." Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's eyes were filled with anger. He glared fiercely at Tan Xiu and roared, "That's impossible. My junior sister, the title Empress, has already led the powerhouses of my ghost sect to lure you into the vortex space. There's a huge array there, so how did you escape? Where's my junior sister? Where are the powerhouses of my sect?" Tan Xiu sneered and said, "Do you think the title Empress, 2 supremacy stage powerhouses, and 16 fallen immortals can kill us? It was simply laughable. Zhu Wushou, you've already used all your trump cards. You have no other choice but to die. So, self-detonate your immortal soul." Shade Demon Zhu Wushou took a deep breath. A bitter smile hung on his face as he looked at Tan Xiu and asked, "Star Cultivation Great Emperor, what do I have to do for you to spare my life? I'll use all my wealth to exchange for it. How about it?" Tan Xiu took out his divine sword and sneered. "Your wealth is worthless in my eyes. Moreover, after killing you, I can still obtain your wealth. Zhu Wushou, I hate the person in the entire immortal world the most. So you're dead today." The divine sword burst with resplendent light. Layers of sword shadows instantly swept past Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul. Just one strike was enough to shatter Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's immortal soul. When the sword light shot out 10,000 meters, it even killed the 4 perfected golden immortals. Upon seeing the immortal souls of the 4 perfected golden immortals fly out, Seaway Monarch and Nether Sea Whale King immediately acted and directly destroyed the 4 immortal souls. That was too easy. Seaway Monarch revealed a bright smile. He originally thought that it would take a long time for everyone to find Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's whereabouts and kill him. He didn't even have the time to use some of his master's plans. Just a drop of god blood was enough to solve the problem. Tan Xiu put away his divine sword and looked at the place where Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's soul scattered. He suddenly felt empty in his heart. All this while, his goal had always been revenge. But now that he had completely killed the enemy, he was somewhat at a loss. After a long time, Ji Qimei woke up from her cultivation. When she floated in front of Tan Xiu, she respectfully said, "Ji Qimei pays respect to your majesty." "Greetings, your majesty." Dozens of severely injured Ji Qimei's clansmen also bowed in the void. Tan Xiu helped them up and said with a smile, "No need to be so polite. Ji Qimei, you returned to the immortal world earlier than us, and it has been more than 1,000 years since then. Where have you been all this time?" Ji Qimei smiled bitterly. "I just returned to the immortal world and found a group of clansmen to help me. Then, I encountered Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's men and was severely injured. 1,000 years ago, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou had even escorted him here and imprisoned him here, enduring their torture day and night. However, Shade Demon Zhu Wushou escaped here some time ago, and we seized the opportunity to escape from a spatial vortex. Afterward, we kept fighting with Shade Demon Zhu Wushou and lost many people, but we still persisted until now." Tan Xiu suddenly understood and said with a smile, "You played a big part in eliminating Shade Demon Zhu Wushou. To be honest, it would have been difficult for us to find Shade Demon Zhu Wushou's hiding place if you hadn't fought." Ji Qimei smiled bitterly. "It's all thanks to your majesty. I'm ashamed." Tan Xiu waved his hand with a smile and said, "Let's go. Our great Tang Empire has become the biggest force in the immortal world. You will be an elder of the great Tang Empire after we return. Your clan can also live in the great Tang Empire." "Understood." Ji Qimei became excited when she thought that she would soon be able to see her master, Gu Yan. Tan Xiu smiled and didn't say anything else. He quickly left with them. "Your Majesty, I know that there are divine stones in the depths of the endless sea. However, no one has been able to reach that place and obtain them," Seaway Monarch suddenly said in a low voice. Tan Xiu was surprised. There are divine stones in the immortal world? Are you sure? Seaway Monarch shook his head and said, "There's absolutely no mistake. I've seen the divine stone before. Unfortunately, I was just a weak perfected golden immortal at that time, so I couldn't enter that place, let alone take the divine stone out from inside. However, we have a lot of people this time, and all of them are supremes. There's a certain chance that we can get some divine stones from there." "Where is it?" Tan Xiu's heart palpitated with excitement. One must know that divine stones contained divine energy, which was much stronger than immortal energy. This was especially true for quasi-stage powerhouses like them. If they could absorb the divine energy within the divine stones, their bodies would be tainted with the aura of gods. If they cultivated well in this state, then their chances of success would increase when they crossed the divinity tribulation in the future. "I'll take you there," Seaway Monarch said. A few months later, everyone appeared in a chaotic meteorite zone. What Tan Xiu didn't expect was that there was actually a whirlpool portal in this meteorite zone. "Are those divine stones?" Tan Xiu's gaze passed through the whirlpool portal and clearly saw some golden ores floating inside. He had read about divine stones before, and they were exactly the same as the golden ores in the whirlpool portal. Seaway Monarch said seriously, "Your Majesty, these are the golden ores in the whirlpool portal. These should be divine stones. However, this whirlpool portal is very strange. Back then, I spent a lot of effort but still couldn't enter and take out the divine stones inside." Tan Xiu pondered for a moment and said, "I'm afraid that countless powerhouses already know about the existence of divine stones. But it seems that no one has ever been able to obtain them. What's going on here? Could it be that no supremacy stage powerhouse has ever come here?" "I don't know either." Seaway Monarch shook his head and smiled bitterly. Tan Xiu took a deep breath. As he cast the heavenly net divine ability, the world in front of him once again turned colorful. Countless clear colorful lines flowed in a specific trajectory. Tan Xiu saw golden lines in the world of colorful lines. Divine energy? There's actually divine energy in the immortal world? What's going on here? Tan Xiu had crossed the divinity tribulation before, so he was very clear about the situation of divine energy. Therefore, at this moment, he could recognize that there was a large amount of divine energy inside the whirlpool portal. Seaway Monarch said, "Your Majesty, some people once speculated that the inside of this whirlpool portal no longer belongs to the immortal world. Instead, it belongs to some corner of the God world. If one can enter the whirlpool portal, they can reach the God world and enter the God world as an immortal. They don't even need to worry about the divinity tribulation for the time being." Tan Xiu said, "I'll give it a try." Having said that, his arms waved again and again as the golden lines flowed under Tan Xiu's control. Immediately, a terrifying suction force erupted from the whirlpool portal and sucked Tan Xiu's group of 11 into it in nearly an instant. Quiet Night really couldn't understand why her brothers and sisters didn't like so many beauties, but instead liked this old hag, Ji Qimen. Now, Quiet Night had brought out the old lover that everyone yearned for day and night. Please kindly accept it. In addition, the WeChat public account had also updated the beautiful photos of this old hag. Everyone should quickly follow the WeChat public account to have a look. Quiet Night's WeChat public account was JYJS00, or you could directly search for Quiet Night's thoughts in the WeChat public account. Chapter 1391. The empty space was filled with golden light, but this golden light was not dazzling and looked very comfortable instead. Tan Xiu, who had a keen sense of self-control, could sense that his eyes seemed to have been washed by a magical potion that strengthened them at an extremely fast speed. Squawk! A strange black bird suddenly flashed from a distance and landed in front of Tan Xiu and the others in a flash. Its eyes stared at Tan Xiu and spoke in human language. "I can sense the aura of a god from you. It's unbelievable that there's actually a god's aura in the immortal world. You should have a divine artifact inside your body, right?" "You're right." Tan Xiu nodded. "I do have a divine artifact. But who are you? What is this place? I can sense that your divine artifact is in a deep slumber. The strange black bird sneered. It'll be very difficult for it to completely wake up and unleash its full power if there's no external force affecting it. It's really a pity that such a good thing is wasted in your hands. I'm just an immortal now. Tan Xiao said lightly, though I'm already a supremacy stage powerhouse, I'm still an immortal and not a god. But I believe that in the future, when my strength is even stronger than in my previous life, when I can easily ascend to the god realm, I will be able to obtain it completely. Only then will I be able to display its full power in battle. The strange black bird rolled its eyes and looked disdainful. Forget it. I don't want to talk nonsense with you. I'll leave the star wheel inside to you. I've been here for hundreds of thousands of years and I finally saw someone successfully come in, so my mission is over. Tan Xiao looked at the dissipating scene of the strange black bird and shouted sternly, "You haven't answered me yet. What the hell are you? Also, where the hell is this place? Go collect the star wheel." The strange black bird's radiance completely dissipated, leaving only such a sentence. Tan Xiao took a deep breath and led the 10 supremacy stage powerhouses to quickly fly to the distance. Their speed was extremely fast, and in the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, they had already appeared in another place. A mass of golden light floated in the void, and inside the golden light was a golden star wheel that was emitting an oppressive pressure. Even though Tan Xiao had once again returned to the supremacy stage, he still felt a little stifled and uncomfortable. Return. Tan Xiao thought about it for a moment before finally deciding to put away the celestial wheel. However, just as his hand touched the celestial wheel, he felt a sharp pain in his palm before the celestial wheel disappeared without a trace. Sun Moon Star Wheel? A look of disbelief flashed across Tan Xiao's eyes. He had once read in an ancient book that the Sun Moon Wheel was a supreme treasure of the God world. Whoever could obtain the Sun Moon Star Wheel would be able to go further on the path of cultivation. When Tan Xiao stored the Sun, Moon, and Stars Wheel into his body, a look of ecstasy appeared on his face. In his Dantian universe, the two divine artifacts, the Sun, Moon, and Stars Wheel, had completely separated. The golden light shone across the entire Dantian universe. Tan Xiao could clearly see the two divine artifacts, the Sun, Moon, and Stars Wheel, which had turned into two huge planets, almost instantly dimmed. What's going on? Tan Xiao was a little overwhelmed by this sudden change. But after a moment, a series of ancient divine characters, like flowing water, poured into his sea of consciousness. He didn't know the divine characters, but he could understand the content of these divine characters. A god needs two kinds of treasures to open up a Dantian world, which are the Sun Moon Wheel and the Moon Wheel. If I hadn't come here, I wouldn't have understood how much benefit cultivating the heavenly art of cosmic genesis would bring to me. Only a god can open up a Dantian world, but I have already started. Once I ascend to become a god, the Dantian world will immediately take shape. In other words, it is equivalent to having another world in my body, a world that is completely under my control. After a long time, Tan Xiao suppressed the ecstasy in his heart and said in a deep voice, "Collect the divine stones in this world. Since the heavens want me to become a god, I will cross the divinity tribulation again when my cultivation breaks through to the late stage of the supremacy stage." Siwei monarch hurriedly asked, "Your Majesty, do you see the hope of becoming a god?" Tan Xiao smiled faintly and said, "Hope is always in my heart." Every single one of the 108,000 god stones contained an enormous amount of god power. Tan Xiao secretly speculated that if he could absorb all the divine power in these 108,000 divine stones, he might be able to break through to the late stage of the supremacy stage. At that time, it would also be the time for him to cross the divinity tribulation and ascend. Let's go back. With a thought, Tan Xiao immediately left the space with the 10 Supremes and left the Endless Sea. They rushed back to the Great Tang Empire as fast as they could. Misty Spring Sea Imperial City. When Tan Xiao returned, he immediately went into seclusion to cultivate. 3,000 years passed by in a flash. When Tan Xiao came out of seclusion, the first news he received was that although Gu Yin, or had been helping him manage some matters in the Great Tang Empire for the past 3,000 years, Gu Yin, or had brought Prince Tang Song to help her. Tang Song had already cultivated to the late stage of the perfected golden immortal stage and was only a step away from breaking through to the supremacy stage. Tan Xiu learned from Tang Song that Tang Song actually had the confidence to break through to the supremacy stage as early as 1,000 years ago, but he was not in a hurry to break through. Instead, he continued to accumulate the immortal force in his body to a terrifying degree. Inform everyone that I will pass the throne of the Great Tang Empire to Prince Tang Song 3 years later. Tan Xiu went to Han Qingwu's residence and immediately issued an order after coming out. 3 days later, all the powerhouses above the perfected golden immortal stage of the Great Tang Empire returned to the imperial city. The news of the abdication of the Great Tang Heavenly Emperor and the ascension of the Great Tang Empire's prince, Tang Song, had spread throughout the immortal world at an extremely fast speed. Even the major forces and powerhouses of the demon world, monster world, spirit world, ghost world, and Azura world had received this news. At the same time, the Great Tang Empire had a total of 185 supremacy stage powerhouses. Among them, 36 powerhouses who had broken through to the late-stage supremacy stage had also received an order from Tan Xiu to go into seclusion to cultivate. Time passed by quickly. When Tan Xiu passed the throne to Tang Song for the 300th year, another news spread again. The first emperor of the Great Tang Empire, Tan Xiu, had decided to cross the divinity tribulation within half a year. 36 supremacy stage powerhouses of the Great Tang Empire would cross the divinity tribulation together with him. This news caused a great sensation. All the forces and powerhouses of the immortal world fixed their eyes on the Great Tang Empire. In the courtyard where Su Lingyun lived. As Tan Xiu's mother, Su Lingyun had also learned that her son was going to cross the divinity tribulation. She was worried that something might happen to her son, but she didn't want to stop him. This was because she knew that every immortal looked forward to breaking through to godhood one day. Xiu, have you really made up your mind? Su Lingyun asked worriedly. Tan Xiu nodded and said, yes, I have. However, when we break through to the true God stage, I'm afraid that we will have to leave the immortal world and continue cultivating in the God realm. As for how long it will take for us to return, I'm not sure. The safest time is when all of my relatives can seize the time to cultivate and meet again in the God realm. Cultivation, Han Qingwu floated in from outside. After bowing to Su Lingyun, she said, the demon world, monster world, ghost world, spirit world, and Azura world. Hundreds of supremacy stage powerhouses from the 5 major worlds have sent a message, hoping that they can come to our Great Tang Empire to witness your tribulation. Do you agree? Tan Xiu thought for a moment and nodded. I agree. Why wouldn't I agree? Tell them that the Great Tang Empire welcomes them. Han Qingwu hesitated and asked, aren't you afraid that they will cause trouble during your tribulation? Tan Xiu sneered. Our Great Tang Empire has a total of 185 supremacy stage powerhouses. Even if I ascend to the God realm with the other 36 people, the Great Tang Empire still has a large number of 140 supremacy stage powerhouses. We don't need to worry about those who come to watch the ceremony causing trouble. Suddenly, Tan Xiu said again, since the powerhouses of the demon world, monster world, ghost world, spirit world, and Azura world are willing to come to the Great Tang Empire to watch the ceremony, then send an invitation to all the supremacy stage powerhouses of the immortal world. I hope that they can also come and watch the ceremony when we cross the tribulation 6 months later. Han Qingwu hesitated for a moment and said with a bitter smile, Xiu, I know the dangers of crossing the God tribulation, especially the period after you successfully cross the tribulation. You will become very weak. You can only be considered safe after the divine light has completely transformed your divine body. I'm a bit worried about inviting so many people. Tan Xiu said lightly, there's nothing to worry about. I have confidence in the Great Tang Empire's strength. Moreover, the powerhouses of the various worlds are well aware that if they cause trouble here, even if I or the other 36 late-stage supremacy stage powerhouses successfully cross the God tribulation, we can still kill them all. Therefore, they won't act rashly. Alright, I'll listen to you. Han Qingwu nodded and said, in the following 6 months, Tan Xiu lived a very leisurely life. Before crossing the tribulation, he spent every day with his family and friends, enjoying the last moments of warmth in the immortal world. Although he had too many worries and was reluctant to leave, he still wanted to cross the god tribulation and ascend to become a god in order to become stronger. In addition, he also had another goal, which was to find a way to resurrect Eagle and Old Sycamore in the god realm. Compared to the immortal world, there were more treasures in the god realm. In just a short 6 months, a large number of supremacy stage powerhouses from various worlds rushed to the Great Tang Empire. Regardless of whether they were from the immortal world or from other worlds, no one caused trouble in the Great Tang Empire. Everyone was quietly waiting for the moment to witness a miracle. Finally, the day that countless people were waiting for finally arrived. There's only 1 day left for the double monthly votes. Please support us. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.